Okay, at this time, I will call to order the Rolesville Board of Commissioner meeting, business meeting, November the 6th, 2025. Just want to thank everybody in attendance. Like we got a good attendance tonight, and got some young people here, and good to see you guys out with the, just checking on your government tonight. So appreciate you coming out. So first thing we got is invocation, and we have Jason Byer from Lighthouse Baptist Church. He's going to start us off with the invocation, and if you would stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. So thank you, Jason.
Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we do thank you again for your love and your mercies that you extend to us that are new every morning. We thank you, Father, for this town of Rolesville, and thank you for the mayor and the commissioners and the board. Thank you for their leadership, and pray that you give them wisdom and guidance and direction according to your will and laws of our land. We thank you for our police department. Father, we pray that you help them as they keep law and order and protect them in their line of work and safety and wisdom in each situation. And Father, we just again thank you that we can have confidence, assurance in you, and knowing it's in you that we live and move and have our being. And so, Lord, just pray for your help in this business meeting tonight, that you would be glorified and you give wisdom. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay, we will get started on the agenda tonight. Got a couple proclamations before we do that. Just want to say we've got a good turnout. Like I said, I think Thursday night looks like is the night we need to move this thing to, because, we get a full house on Thursday night. So this is nice. So thank y'all for coming out. Appreciate it. First proclamation is the operational green light. I think Dan Austin is going to read that one. You going to read it, Paul? Okay. We'll start with that one.
Proclamation of the Town of Rolesville, Operation Green Light for Veterans. Whereas the residents of Town of Rolesville have great respect, admiration, and utmost gratitude for all men and women who selflessly served our country and its community in the armed forces. And whereas contributions and sacrifices for those who served in the armed forces have been vital, maintaining the freedom and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas the Town of Rolesville seeks to honor individuals who have made countless sacrifices for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve community in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veterans service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life. And whereas the active military service members transitioning from military service are at high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. And whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Green Light for veterans. Whereas the Town of Rolesville appreciates the sacrifices our United States military personnel believe specific recognition should be granted. Now, therefore, let it be resolved with designation as Green Light for Veterans County, Town of Rolesville hereby declares November 4th through 11th, 2025 as a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifices of those transitioning from active service. And be it further resolved, the Town of Rolesville encourages the citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in a window of their place of business or residence from November 4th, 11th, 2025. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and cause to be affixed the seal of the Town of Rolesville, the 6th day of November 2025, our Mayor, Ronnie I. Curran.
Thank you, Commissioner Bill. Appreciate that. And then we got one for Veterans Appreciation.
Yes, sir. Proclamation of the Town of Rolesville, Veterans Appreciation Month. Whereas the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces have selflessly served our nation, defending the freedoms and values we hold dear. Throughout history, our veterans have demonstrated unwavering courage, sacrifice, dedication, ensuring the security and prosperity of our country. And whereas the town of Rolesville observed our storied history of supporting the United States military, a legacy stretching back to before the founding of our nation, we are proud to be the home of more than 1 million active duty military service members, veterans, and their families. And whereas, following the declaration of Armistice Day as the national holiday in 1926, the United States Congress officially recognized November 11 as Veterans Day in 1954. And whereas, throughout the entire month of November, veterans are celebrated for Military and Veterans Appreciation Week, National Veterans Small Business Week, and National Veterans and Military Families Month. With celebration all over the state. And whereas the town of Rolesville residents and businesses can demonstrate their respect for veterans by participating in Operation Greenlight throughout the week to honor those who serve and sacrifice, help preserve our freedom by displaying a green light on the exterior or in a window of your home or business. And whereas veterans continue to serve their community throughout the civil service and participation in groups, including the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, nonprofit and volunteer organizations, community of faith, and much more. And whereas approximately 20,000 service members in the town of Rolesville transition to civilian communities annually, and they deserve our help and support during what can be challenging time as they return to civilian life. And whereas today and every day, we encourage all people, communities, and leaders to support and honor veterans. Now, therefore, the town of Rolesville and Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim November 2025 as Veterans Appreciation Month and November 11, 2025 as Veterans Day in the town of Rolesville, and commend it observed to all citizens. In witness whereof, I have set my signature and seal to the town of Rolesville on this 6th day of November 2025 by our very own mayor. I think when it said 20,000 service members to the town of Rolesville, this should be Wake County.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Consideration approval of agenda. You guys have the agenda before you. Is any changes you'd like to make, or I will consider a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion second. Any further discussion?
No,
Not
sir.
hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds like the ayes have it. Ayes do have it. The motion is approved. So thank you, board. Appreciate that. Public is invited to be heard. So this is a time that you can come up and make comments to the board. Just make them directly to the board if you would. You're limited to 3 minutes. So just I appreciate you honor the 3 minutes for everybody's sake. So thank you for that. Okay. All right. This is a privilege to have these speakers here tonight. So Noah, you the first one to sign up. You want to come up and speak to us? And for the record, Noah, you have to state your full name and your address.
My name is Ian Leroy, and I'm live at 122 Watkins Farm Road.
Thank you. Now you can give us your comments.
My fellow residents and I are here today to request your help on getting a crosswalk across West Young Street just outside of our neighborhood. We need this crosswalk because of the difficulty in crossing the road due to the high volumes of traffic. It is necessary for people walking or biking to cross this road as the sidewalk on the other side provides a path to Main Street and other vital locations. We have collected signatures from neighbors who support this idea, spoken to Chief Simmons on the amount of speeders in our area, and have provided a map of the location in question. You will now hear from other residents in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. And
Hello.
state your name and,
My name is Anastasia, and I live on 122 Watkins Farm Road. My name is Anastasia. One reason why we need a crosswalk is that cars are speeding and don't know when to stop so we can cross safely. Another reason we need a crosswalk is that in our neighborhood, there are a lot of kids who ride their bikes to the park or downtown, but have difficulty crossing out of our neighborhood safely.
thank you. Okay, Ian, state your name.
My name is Noah Wee.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Noah. My name is Noah, and the final reason we need a crosswalk is that the elderly need more time to cross, and a crosswalk would help. In closing, these reasons are to convince you to help us get a crosswalk to cross the road safely at Watkins Farm Road and West Young Street. Thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you. Okay,
Hi, my name is Keegan Logan, and I live on 109 Watkins Farm Road. I'm the neighbor of this family, and I cross the street the most because I love to ride my bike everywhere. I don't always ride my bike, but when I do, I go to Main Street Park, Sanford Creek to play at their soccer field, the Greenway that only has access through Granite Crest neighborhood with my 2 younger brothers. I also ride to the baseball fields in Rolesville. It's very rare, but sometimes I would ride to Subway for a cookie. I also ride to New Bethel Baptist Church where we do Boy Scouts, and I also go to the arcade Pixels. When I'm waiting for the cars, some of the time I only have to wait for a few cars, but other times I may have to wait 2 minutes or longer because there are so many cars. I know that having a crosswalk will greatly improve the time I have to wait, and it will be a lot safer for me and my 2 younger brothers who I take to piano in Granite Crest neighborhood. The crosswalk will also hopefully help regulate the speed of people going on the road because it will make them slow down and make them more aware of people who might be crossing that road. In conclusion, the crosswalk will hopefully regulate speed, allow for safer crossing, and help allow me and my family and friends to go to the Greenway and to town.
thank you, appreciate that.
Good evening. My name is Jillian Leroy. I also live at 122 Watkins Farm Road. I'm representing the residents you just saw who presented their case of why we need a crosswalk. As mentioned, a speed sign was placed on West Young Street to collect data, and I just wanted to present those findings. So going southbound, we had a volume of 13,967 cars. And that was in a period of over 2 days. They collected data, and the speed average was 45 miles an hour. Northbound, we had a volume of 3,377 cars with a speed of 34 miles an hour over the 1 day period. I would like to submit to the board the signatures we collected from residents, or the children collected from residents going door to door, the data that Chief Simmons provided us, and a map of the intersection. We've noticed that some of the kids oftentimes have to jump in and out of traffic waiting for cars to slow down or stop, making the parents very concerned to let the kids kind of go on across and cross the street. So we've kind of wanted to bring that to your attention tonight. We want to thank Chief Simmons, Lieutenant Williams, and the town clerk for their assistance in gathering information, and wanted to thank you all for your time and attention to this matter.
Thank you, Jillian, appreciate it. And the kids did a great job. They really did.
Very much.
I don't remember the last time I saw them, but they growing fast.
Yeah.
You know, they are growing really fast, so thank you for bringing them out.
Thank you very much.
And it looks like one more signed up, Ben Partridge.
Ben Partridge from 501 Granite Creek Drive. I'd like to first start by commending these fine young members of our community. I'm a grown man, and doing a presentation like this in front of the board is very nerve-wracking, and I've had lots of practice over my career and doing an MBA at UNC and all sorts of other things. You guys did a phenomenal job. You should be very proud of yourselves.
Thank you.
I'm here to present to the board about chickens and rabbits, actually. So I have a presentation. I tried to get it sent over, but I don't think I got it sent over in time. But essentially, kind of by quick way of introduction, I'm the president of Granite Falls Community, HOA, and we've lived here, my wife and our 5 kids have lived in Rolesville for almost 7 years. And previous to moving here, we had chickens. We loved having chickens, and when we moved to Rolesville, we thought we were kind of moving to like small farm town feel neighborhoods, and we're surprised that chickens are not allowed unless you have 2 acres. If I can get my notes to cooperate here. I have the town-like regulations pulled up, and in 92.07, Article C, it specifically says all livestock and domestic fowl shall be kept and maintained in an enclosed area and on a parcel of land that is greater than 2 acres. So unless you have 2 acres or more, you cannot have chickens. Furthermore, in 92.08, rabbits is a little bit more iffy. Actually, if you go to definitions in 92.04, it classifies rabbits as livestock. And then if you go to 92.08, it says prohibited animals within the 150 feet residential buffer included, but are not limited to rabbits, cattle, horses, mules, swine, etc. So we really miss having our chickens. It was a lot of fun. I actually brought my son here today. He was too shy to stand up and tell you guys how much he misses having chickens and what a wonderful opportunity that was for him to learn responsibility by collecting eggs, taking care of the chickens. Obviously, those things can be done with other pets, but there's other advantages to having chickens or rabbits. One is collecting the eggs. They're super easy. They're quiet. They produce a lot less waste than dogs. In fact, 10 chickens produce less waste than a 40-pound dog does. And they are a lot quieter. And if you guys live in the Granite Falls area, which I know several of you do, you've heard the dogs barking, and it can be annoying sometimes. So the last item is, I looked up the area, and Rolesville is literally the only town that does not allow chickens in your backyard. Lake Forest, Zebulon, Knightdale, Raleigh, they all do. And so I would propose that we allow chickens and rabbits, hopefully 10 to 12 hens, in people's backyards. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I mean, we'll make a couple of comments on the speakers. You guys came at a perfect time on the crosswalk because we're getting ready to start our CIP, and we'll start that discussion. And I know we've had sidewalk discussions for a while. So, you know, this is a perfect time. We'll start talking about that next couple of months and see if we can make a project. We have to make a project to get something like that done. So that's one thing on that. Thank y'all for coming out. You did a really great job. And as for the chickens, I think this is the 3rd request from a different neighborhoods, and not one neighborhood, but different neighborhoods in town. So it's something that the manager's aware of, and we've kind of talked about it. It does require 2 acres at this point in time. So if you could grow your yard somehow, you know, you covered. But and I don't know why it was 2 acres. I mean, I don't know where that number came from. It's been in there for years and years, I think. But we will at least talk about it in a work session at some point in time. So thank you for bringing that up. And you're not the only one. Like I said, we got about 3. I think the clerk has about 3 requests to talk about that. So thanks a lot. Okay. At this point in time, we will move on to consider the approval of the consent agenda. And on the consent agenda, there is 4 items. The 25-26 budget ordinance amendment, minutes to the September 16th meeting, Wake County Mutual Aid Agreement, emergency operations plan, and amend pay classifications plan and 25-26 budget ordinance amendment. So I think the board has had time to review those consent items, and I will ask for a consideration of the consent items, and is any discussion or motion?
So move.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, second. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All right, not hearing it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds like the ayes have it. Ayes do have it. Motion is approved. Thank you, board. Town board liaison reports. So now we have a section that we get to hear from our commissioners if they have something to report on. So I started Linwood's end there. Linwood, do you have anything you want to report on?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, good evening to our citizens of Rolesville. I just have a couple of updates on behalf of our Rolesville Police Department and Rolesville Fire. Quickly, as you may know, we are fast approaching the holiday season. Obviously, National Night Out was a success in October. Next up will be our holiday meal giveaway through the month of November or December. We are proud to help with the meal giveaways facilitated by the Northern Community Food Security Team, which includes the representatives from Rolesville Parks and Rec. And to get details on scheduled food security events, please visit us at www.rolesvillenc.gov. We also will be having Shop with a Cop in December. The Shop with a Cop is a program designed to help foster positive interactions between students and law enforcement while spreading cheer to those that might not have a happy holiday season. Our application is currently open until November the 23rd. Application can be found online. Please see us online at the Rolesville Community Outreach. Finally, as you may or may not know, if you have not been to the website, the Rolesville website, we have a great section for our Rolesville Fire Department. I think it's an awesome part of the growth that we are taking on here with our connectivity and union. And one of the things that they called out is the Knox box. It's the residential Knox box. Rolesville Fire Department encourages the use of a residential Knox box. It's a key safe for the elderly and individuals with access and functional needs. Firefighters often require rapid entry into homes of the elderly, special needs, and hospice residents during a fire or medical emergency. It is important for the fire department to minimize property damage and avoid costly repairs caused by forced entry. A solution that provides firefighters with access they need is available when vulnerable residents install a fire department-approved key safe that provides safe and efficient entry, decreases response times, and limits property damage. The Knox box is available for $250, and the Rolesville Fire Department offers free installation at your residence. That is all I have today for you, Mr. Mayor and Town Board.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good report. Commissioner Vilga?
Yeah, we had a meeting. We went over updates regarding sports events and offerings. I also did a review of the Greenway map. It's now on the website, so if you get a chance, take a look at the, it's been updated and everything else. You can see where all the greenways are in town. Update on the signage on greenways. We've actually added more signage. We had signage in the parks with rules and regulations. Now they've gone through and added the rules and such to other parts of the greenway. And finally, the Parks and Rec Board gave me a plaque, and I wanted to thank them personally. I don't know if I'll get more time to do this later, so I'll do it now, but I just wanted to thank them. And I want to thank all of our volunteers on all of our, on all levels, every group. We get paid to do this. It's a little bit, but that's okay. But they don't get paid anything. They take time out of their days, out of their lives, to come and sit with us and to figure out the best things for our town. And I just want to thank them for everything they do.
They will miss you, Paul.
That's all I have. Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it. April?
All right, we had a planning board meeting in October 27th, I do believe it was. We had several things on the agenda that will be coming before us in the next couple months. The first one was a text amendment to the LDO section 5.1 regarding hospital use. And this came, the application
process modifies the LDO, as well as adding a new subsection to eliminate the special use permit process if a hospital use is permitted by a condition of a conditional rezoning application. So the hospital, I had this conversation with Ronnie today, and the hospital was approved by the state. So it's our responsibility to approve or not the rezoning of the hospital, because whether a hospital comes or not is not something that we get to vote on. That's a state issue. So that will be coming before us. We have a rezoning map amendment for 625 Averett Road, a property located there, to change the zoning from residential and planned unit development, the RPUD, to residential high. We also have another one, rezoning amendment for Atticus Woods. That's another rezoning on Waite Avenue to change the zoning from residential and planned unit development, the RPUD, and residential low to a neighborhood center conditional zoning district. And then we also had a text amendment, which was town initiated, to the town center district. So we have a lot coming before us here in the next few months. And our interim planning department director did speak about the Go Well online platform that is used for submitting projects, developments to the town. And it's pleased to announce that the activation of GovWell plan review software was effective September 15th. And the implementation of this new software will accelerate, track, and streamline development review services. So, and I believe he said that it should be fully integrated over the next 6 to 8 months, and by summer should be fully functional. Yeah, that is correct. Okay. So that's my report.
Thank you. Very good report. Appreciate that. How about Dan? You have a report for us tonight?
Yes, sir. First of all, good evening, Mayor, Board of Commissioners, and our beloved town of Rolesville. The month of November is National Military and Family Appreciation Month. All Americans recognize the contribution of military families and those who have served. On November 11 at 1100 hours at our very own town hall, the town of Rolesville, the Garden Club of America, will be having a Veterans Day celebration. All are welcome to attend. This will be the first year that Rolesville High Navy National Defense Cadet Corps will be on display for us. Their color guard. Operation Greenlight. Commissioner Vilga read that report. On 14 November at 0900 hours, I will be attending the North Carolina .02 Congressional Veterans Breakfast Briefing with Congresswoman Deborah Ross. All veterans that do want to attend, please RSVP using the link that is currently on our town's website by November 12th. The Joel Fund is hosting the North Carolina Veteran Art Show. This art show is from Tuesday, November 18th through Sunday, November 23rd. Join the Joel Fund for a beautiful evening at the Carolina Exotic Car Club for its annual Evening of Honor benefit on this Saturday, 8 November. And this is from the American Legion, post number 1. Celebrating Women's Veterans Banquet. In partnership with the Veterans Organization and community partners, the American Legion Post 1 is proud to host its annual banquet on November 15th to honor the remarkable service and sacrifices of all women veterans and to celebrate their unwavering commitment to upholding freedom. And also the Wake County Council of Veteran Organizations, partnering with the Military and Veteran Affairs Incorporated, will be having their annual Veterans Day ceremony on the north side of the War Memorial at the Raleigh State Capitol. That event will be starting at 1100 hours sharp. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Good report on the veterans. And this is the Veterans Month, so a lot of opportunities you can take. I just want to shout out again for our event coming up on Tuesday. Gardens Club hosts that with us, and it's a very good event. So hope you come out. And the Raleigh event Saturday, I think it's the parade, and they hadn't done that in a couple of years, right?
That's correct.
They're redoing the parade because they shut it down because of safety things or something, but
Sir.
it's the first time they're doing a parade in a couple of years, so.
Yes, sir. I was trying to petition with Mr. Richard Sequin about if Raleigh wasn't going to have it, maybe Rolesville can. But I think Raleigh made some other decisions instead.
Yeah, that's good. Good they started that back because I know a lot of veterans missed that. So.
Yes, sir. I'll try again, though.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Michael Paul, what do you have to report?
I'll make it easy. There's nothing to report tonight. We'll have some stuff to report next month, but for now, we're good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So with that, our next item is communications from town staff. This is always a good opportunity. We're going to start off with financial. So our assistant accountant will come up and give us a report. Good to see you tonight.
Yes.
Welcome.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Nidhi Vyas, and I'm an accountant from the finance department, and I'll be going through a brief overview of the finance update this evening for you all. I've left a physical copy of the September finance report at your seat for reference. This was also included in the prior board packet. So we'll start with the current year that we are in right now, which is fiscal 25-26. Looking at this chart for general fund revenues, we can see on the far left-hand side for all the main revenue streams that we have. Ad valorem is our #1 source of revenue, and this comes in November, December. So that's why it's looking as if it's below the benchmark. We have completed our first quarter as of September, so that's why we are looking to compare it with the 25% ballpark. We should surpass this benchmark in the next quarter. And looking at the second most largest revenue source, which is the local sales tax. There's generally a 3-month gap or lag in the receipt for this. That's why it's also behind than what we were expecting. We can see the other revenue is higher than expected. This relates to the fire unification. Looking through the general fund expenditures, they're generally in line with our expected levels. We can see that the solid waste is a little higher than what we had anticipated. And this is because of the acquisition of the new yard waste compactor truck that we purchased earlier in the year. So if we rewind back to the year that we just completed, which is fiscal 24-25, I would like to pass on to Scott Anderson, and he's a partner from Cherry Beckett, the auditor that was appointed by you, and he will discuss the prior year results and audit findings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I would also like to pass along the financial statements.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
I don't recall, this is the first time you here?
This is the first time I personally have been here, yes.
Right, yeah.
I believe we have audited the town
Right.
in the past. Good to be here. I'll go ahead and start with my presentation, if that's okay. The purpose of our presentation in the slide deck is to communicate to you, as those charged with governance, the things that our professional standards believe is important for you to understand about your audit and how your audit went. This slide is our client service team. I'm Scott Anderson. I was the second reviewer. What that means is I was intentionally left independent from the audit team. I was not part of the team that actually did the audit work. Rather, I was set apart to do a review at the very end to make sure that that nothing was missed prior to the issuance of our audit report. We did perform an audit, and we did complete it with our audit report dated November 3rd, 2025. Our audit was conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, as well as in accordance with government auditing standards. The purpose of an audit is to determine whether or not your financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. An audit provides reasonable assurance that your statements are fairly stated, as opposed to absolute assurance. We do not review and audit every transaction. Rather, we employ sampling techniques and analytical procedures. We look at internal controls in order to arrive at what we deem to be reasonably assurance that your statements are fairly stated. We did issue an unmodified opinion on your financial statements. An unmodified opinion is the highest level of assurance that we can provide. It means that we believe that a third-party user of your financial statements can rely on the information therein. As part of our audit, we look at your internal controls as a way to plan our audit procedures. We look at them, we do not express an opinion on your internal controls. Nevertheless, if we do identify deficiencies in internal controls that raise to the level of a material weakness or a significant deficiency, we do report that in our audit. You have the financial statements in front of you. We've got two deliverables in there. There's an audit opinion at the beginning, and then there is a report at the very end. The report at the very end would describe any control deficiencies that we identified that raise to the level of a material weakness or a significant deficiency. During audit, we did not identify any deficiencies that are reported in that report. As we go through an audit to make sure your financial statements are in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, we do sometimes identify misstatements. Sometimes the misstatements are material enough that they are required to be made in order for your financial statements to be in accordance with accounting principles. Sometimes they don't rise to that level and they're left uncorrected. Regardless of whether they are corrected or uncorrected, as part of the transparency of our audit communications, we describe to you what those misstatements were. There was one uncorrected misstatement this year. I will categorize misstatements as good and sometimes bad. Good meaning you were aware of them, it was intentional, you left it there uncorrected on purpose. And the nature of this misstatement or uncorrected misstatement was as a result of implementing GASB 101. GASB 101 was a new accounting pronouncement put into effect this year. It required an additional liability accrual for a sick leave. In the past, sick leave was not accrued because sick leave does not get paid out upon retirement or otherwise separation of services. The new guidance does require an accrual for sick leave that is more likely than not to be used during an employee's service. That GASB pronouncement requires a retroactive application, meaning you're supposed to go back and restate prior balances. That restatement amount was not deemed to be sufficiently material by management, and so rather than restating prior amount, it was implemented prospectively, and so your ending balances are correct with that restatement amount being run through the current year. And that is a practice that we see lots of governments do. The next part of my presentation is about the qualitative aspects of accounting practices, some of the things that we consider and look through as part of your audit. Management is responsible for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. They are described in Note 1 to your financial statements. The only change in accounting practices this year was that adoption of Statement 101. We otherwise we noted that there were no inappropriate accounting policies or practices. We also look at related party relationships and transactions. There's no prohibition on related party transactions. However, they are required to be transparent when they exist. There were no related party transactions that were undisclosed or required financial statement disclosure. We ask questions and we inspect journal entries to identify any significant or unusual transactions. We noted no significant and unusual transactions during our audit. We perform procedures over significant estimates. Estimates are subjective. Our concern is whether or not there is any bias in determining these estimates. The useful life of assets, for example, your pension liability has a lot of estimates involved. And so we perform procedures to make sure that those are reasonable. And the financial statements disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear. Now, one of the most important parts of our audit opinion is at the very top where it says report of independent auditor. It is important that as your auditor, we are independent both in fact and in appearance. As part of our consideration of independence, we disclose and communicate with you any other services we have provided that are not attest services, that are not audit services. One of the things we were engaged to do as your auditor was to assist in the preparation of your financial statements. And so we assisted in that effort. One of the reasons why I, as a second reviewer, come in and look at everything at the end is to maintain that independence, to maintain that we didn't do it. We were looking at it objectively. Other required communications, and I'll just summarize some of these. You have the slide deck, but there were no difficulties encountered throughout the audit. Everyone we asked to speak to was made available to us. Every document and support we asked to review was also made available to us. Included in your financial statements is other information that is not part of the basic financial statements, requires supplementary information and supplementary information. This slide summarizes the degree to which we provide assurance for that information. Some of that information is not auditable, so we don't audit it, and our audit opinion expresses that information. And then last, I just want to summarize that next year there will be 2 new accounting pronouncements that your finance staff are required to adopt, GASB Statement 103 and GASB Statement 104. We, as your audit firm, have been following the technical developments of these standards. We pay attention and we reach out to the GASB from time to time to get clarification, and we remain available to assist your finance team as they have to navigate and implement these new accounting pronouncements. My name's not on this slide deck. Leanne Waters is the partner who signed your audit report, with Albert Ong being the senior manager. They are available to receive any questions and interact with you, but I'm also able to take any questions that you might have now with regard to our audit.
Thank you. Great report. Board, any questions?
I have one, sir. Do you find anything that could be alarming that could impact our debt financing for our town campus?
As far as financial trends or anything like that?
Yes, sir.
No, and I did kind of gloss over it. There is, as part of any audit, we have to look at what we call going concern considerations.
Yes, sir.
Literally going concern means will you cease to exist as a result of financial stress? That's not really the case in the government environment, where governments don't just cease to exist. But part of that is an assessment of whether or not you are having difficulties paying your bills, meeting debt obligations, providing services. And if we did identify something like that, we would put it explicitly in our audit opinion.
And there was one of your slides that I saw, I couldn't remember which one it was, but the gross amount was like 122,000 at the beginning of.
The uncorrected misstatement?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Is that something that was adjusted Automatically?
So what the requirement was to go back and fix last year's balance.
Okay.
And instead of going back and fixing last year's balance, the adjustment was made in the activity of this year. So the ending liability is correct the way the standard requires it. It was just a matter of not going back and fixing the prior year ending balance, which is what the statement technically calls for and which you would be required to do if the amount raised was above a certain level. It was determined not to be sufficiently material to do that.
Thank you, sir.
So we have two more coming up. Gatsby 103 and 104, I think it was.
Yep.
So is that going to be retro about a year back as well?
The good news with those two standards is they are presentation only.
Okay.
They're not going to require any new journal entries, anything like that. It's going to change a little bit the look of how your financial statements appear.
Okay.
Enterprise funds are going to look a little bit different. Your budget to actual statement is currently in your basic financial statements. Those now get pulled out into required supplementary information. Things that maybe us nerdy accountants think are a big deal, but you probably, maybe you won't notice. One change, I think, the management's discussion and analysis, which is probably something that a lot of users will read first. There are some improvements to try to make that more useful. So it's those kind of changes that 103 and 104 will have an effect, but it's not going to be one that's going to require you to go back and restate anything.
Good. Okay. Thank you for that.
Other questions? Did you find the tools we use for accounting to be efficient, or do you even know or aware of kind of how we manage tool-wise?
Tool-wise as in your financial accounting software?
Yes.
I'm probably not going to be able to answer that question since I was not involved at that level with your, I actually don't know what your accounting software is, but the audit team probably does. Usually what I have found is financial reporting is where towns and cities have difficulty, which is one reason why you have us assist with that. Excel and Word is what ends up being used, and that's the same as with your level, your town, as well as big counties, and even some special purpose governments still use Excel and Word. It still gets the job done.
Good. Anything else, board?
No, sir.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And I think, Amy, you come and follow up with that?
Scott, before he leaves, I do want to, while I get ready for my part, I do want to just say a special thank you to Scott and the folks at Cherry Beckert for helping us, assisting and supporting in the development of those annual financial statements. I also want to give a shout out to Nitty. She's been with us for less than a year and a half. And her first summer here, she and I went through the financial statement preparation together. I still call it our speed statement preparation because I think we did it in 2 weeks. And this year she did most of this by herself. So great achievement for her, and really appreciate all the work that she's put into this. All right. I'm here to talk about a slightly different topic, which is an update on the town campus capital project, and give you a little bit of a financial update on that project. So I'm going to spend just a moment doing a little review for everybody, get you oriented to the topic. Town campus is a 17-acre site off of East Young Street, just down from the downtown area. The town is planning several governmental buildings on that site, including a police station, fire station, town hall, Wake County Library, and community center. The first phase of this project is to get the entire site prepared and then to build a police station and a fire station. At this time, the site is in the construction drawing phase, which means they're drawing up all those plans, the engineers, the architects drawing up all those plans about where the roads are going to go, what slope the sidewalks have,
all the things those construction folks need to actually build the site. The two buildings are slightly behind that. We're just in the phase where we're getting ready to work through the contracting piece to engage the architects to do the full design of those buildings. I also want to mention and emphasize the scale of this project that's being undertaken. I remember a few years ago, Mayor, when we had the groundbreaking for the Main Street project, and you had noted how that Main Street project was far and above, and particularly in terms of dollar cost, the largest capital project the town had ever undertaken. It's just over a $20 million project. When we look at this town campus project, it's even magnitudes greater than that. We're looking at over $60 million of a project between the site and all the buildings. And so this project is a significant project for the town to undertake. The town has chosen to use what is called a construction manager at risk in order to construct the site and the buildings upon it. It's a little different than traditional design, bid, build. This sort of combines each of those steps into one. And what it does is I think of it as a three-legged stool. It pulls together the owner, which is the town, the architect, town has selected ADW for their architects, and the general contractor, and the town has selected Samet for that piece. And these three entities work together in order to support the construction of the project. It takes a little more work on the front end to get all this coordinated, but when it comes time to actually build the building, costs are contained and the construction moves a much faster than that traditional method. What I want to talk to you about tonight is a new concept with this project, and that is something called an owner's representative. So let's talk about what is an owner's representative. This is someone who provides advisory services to an owner about about helping construction projects be delivered on time and within budget. Okay, what do? They may give project updates. They can advise on critical project decisions. Some of the decisions that need to be made now will affect the total cost of the site and can have ripples throughout the entire site. They can help manage the project budget and ensure that things are within that budget. They can help with procurement, contract negotiation, resolving disputes, recommending the town's decisions to be made. Basically, they are a central point for coordination and communication on a project. So why are we suggesting that for this project? What's the need? We are in a little bit of a capital project bubble right now, right? Main Street project is still going on, which, as mentioned, is a huge project. This project is already underway, but it's still at the beginning, but it's about to get a lot bigger. And in addition, there are a lot of smaller capital projects ongoing and desired in the coming future. And so in terms of staff capacity, we're in a little bit of a tight point, particularly as this project really gets underway. It makes sense, rather than adding permanent headcount to staff, to use a contracted advisor that does not add to the long-term staffing of the town. This is a high-risk, high-complexity project. We've alluded tonight already about future debt issuances. It's a huge piece of this project is maintaining the debt, which is why we need to stay in budget on this project. There are costs to having an owner's representative based on information we've gotten from other folks, advisors at the School of Government. A lot of these owner representatives, it ends up paying for itself. So there's a cost to it, but because they can keep projects moving and on time, you end up avoiding delays. That's one of those things we've talked about a lot of times when we talk about this project, is that the costs aren't going down. The longer we wait, the more expensive it gets.
Amy,
And so delays just add to the cost of the project.
Amy, got a question for
Yes,
you. By you saying that, how is that process done to choose who the representative is and what's the associated costs? And what funding is that coming out of?
So the method for procurement, it's a service. We have chosen to do it through the Minnie Brooks Act, which is a request for qualifications, so that it opens up some of the services that we provide to maybe some light engineering type things if we get into that. Now, I will say, I didn't mention this verbally, but it's in the cover memo. What an owner representative does is going to vary from project to project based on the owner's needs. Okay, so in terms of giving you a dollar cost, I don't know that we're there yet. We've put out an RFQ to see who's available to do these types of services, and that's one of those questions that we'll be probing as we interview potential candidates to come in and do this. Figuring out what are the things we need the assistance with, what can they do, and then we can determine the costs from there.
How long's that been out and when's the deadline?
It was posted on Friday, and we posted it for 2 weeks. I know there's already been some questions coming in, so it is out there on the state procurement site and getting some traction already.
And you said 2 weeks was the open and close time frame that you have.
Yes, sir. We don't want to delay on this. We are already at a point because we're already into this project, and we don't want to miss making out on some important decisions. So we want to go ahead and move ahead.
Question, once you 2 week period, so what's the ideal time of procuring the owner if we go this route? What's the time frame from procurement to them being working, if you will?
I'm hoping early December.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That's ideal.
So that's your perfect.
Sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so this RFQ, when it's posted, through our consulting with the School of Government, because they were just at the School of Government, other municipalities, and also ADW, there's the amount of people that are in the immediate area because of some of the requirements we have for this owner's representative, which is being in close proximity, being of a certain size, so not being a large firm, it being one or two individuals. A lot of these people are these individuals or teams that are gentlemen that are retired, and people that are retired that have a ton of experience in the industry, and they come on in this consulting capacity. The key when she talk about the complexity of the project is a lot different when you talk about capital projects that go horizontal versus vertical. The complexities that are within a police station and a fire station, that's a different kind of building, right? And so we want to make sure that we're moving faster than the rate of inflation and all the different things that are going on. And so the delivery, keeping pace, but also adding that vertical construction and the complexity that come with doing a police station and a fire station is the most important thing with this, because we're building those two buildings concurrently, right? So there's not going to be one, then wait for somebody to move into the next building. That we're building them concurrently so that we can reap the benefits of being able to order a lot of the materials at the same time. And so that I just wanted to speak a little bit more and highlight around that complexity, because as Amy mentioned, the capacity on that is very different. We successfully managed the building of our public works facility, but that was a prefabricated steel building with just a mezzanine, much simpler than these buildings. And so in order for us to hit our target on the delivery and to ensure that we're not encountering any unnecessary change orders and all these from having a lack of foresight on the schematic design phase, is really important that we move on this now, because architects and engineers, they are not the same. And typically you have somebody in the middle that's going to help translate those things to ensure that everything meshes out well when we start moving forward with the actual construction of the buildings. So I just want to add a little bit more to that because I know that the high risk and complexity is kind of like an ambiguous kind of broad term, but to nail down on what those specific capacity things are is really, really important. Internally with staff, we're going to be doing a lot more road, sidewalk, typical municipal capital projects. But when you go vertical construction on buildings of this nature, it's really important to have all the expertise you need on the team.
So this I was trying to you describe how this person looks. Is it more like a on-site general manager type person, or somebody that office is in Charlotte and we never see them and they just working behind the scenes? What kind of person is it?
Very involved. And so that is,
So
yes.
it'd be on site here.
Yes.
So they bring any project management experience and expertise on this as well?
Yes, all of that will be included in the RFQ. We can look. I can send that to you all, but it's posted to our website. But all that is included in that. Yes.
Thank you.
This sounds good because this person will be working hand in hand with the CMAR. And that way we have accountability and delays, anything like that.
That's
with this
correct.
Project. Okay.
It sounds like the design and development delays that we have kind of spearheaded this. We need someone in place. So with us being behind with design and development, are we closer to the deliverables they're supposed to have so we can get forward with clearing out the space and start doing? Well, one of the statements, one of the statements within the memo was that we are slightly behind.
Oh, when I said slight, it just means it's a step behind, not
Just a step behind.
not that it's delayed,
Okay.
but that there are certain steps in the design phases, and so one of them is in step 3, the other is in step 2.
Okay.
On purpose.
Okay.
Because we
okay.
have to have the site done before we can build the building.
Okay. Thank you for that clarity.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did not mean to give that impression in the way it was written.
Thank you.
Will this be a full-time position so that they're dedicated to our project, or is this a part-time and they'll be working on multiple projects?
That
To
will
be determined?
That will be one of the questions we will
All
be
right.
asking.
Good. Thank you.
I think this is a great idea because I think it brings us someone that has experience doing these type of projects. And nothing against our amazing staff, but if we have a $60 million project, I think that we need to make sure that we do have somebody at the table that can say, hey, that's not right for you, or, the guidance alone, I think will be fantastic for us.
Yeah, it's definitely typical. I've worked in different municipalities where this was the case. When you have your CIP program or portfolio, you can have project managers. Some projects are big enough to where they need to stand on their own, and this is one of those things. To have this many structures being built and to ensure that each one of the paths is going to be slab ready, and all the utility work that we're doing. And then also, as we're continuing to take into account the development that's happening around the campus in real time, because there are literal projects that are popping up on neighboring parcels that need to be taken into account in real time as well. And so it's very typical to have that project that stands out by itself, and then you continue to have that regular portfolio of your ongoing paving, resurfacing, crosswalks, all these different things rolling, because all those things are packed into our CIP program.
So is part of the RFP on this person, are they going to be the primary coordinator with Wake County and Wake County's project that's embedded in this, that they stay on schedule and they don't hinder our project at all? Is that thought about? Is that part of that?
So when he says Wake County's project inside ours, talking about the library. So the library, they have their own team that is running, and what we're providing to them is our site preparation. Our site plan takes everything they need into account to be able to build, and so they'll essentially be a project operating within our municipal complex behind our buildings. They have their own engineers, they have their own project managers, and so our contribution with collaboration with them will be more so about the assessment for the utilization of it and all the things that go into it, and it will take a lot less effort on our part for that. But our plan is to roll through these first 2 buildings and start focusing on what the next we'll be moving on to town hall, and so. we're not necessarily bringing this owner's representative into play when it comes to the library, because Wake County is definitely a trusted partner with that, and they have a ton of experience and have a built-out staff for that. And so, as you know, we're in the process of building out our engineering department now, and so soon we'll be at that point. But we don't. It's not necessarily for concern about Wake County being able to execute the library build.
Yeah, I would think there's some coordination, like utilities, water, sewer connections,
Yeah, we're doing all that in the site development phase. So in our site development phase, we're running all the utilities, fiber infrastructure, conduit, everything to every area where there will be a building, because the goal is for in the in-between time before we build the community center, all that stuff would be active green space. That's why we're looking at the memorial, all these different things. So it won't be something that would have to be disturbed in a way that you have to come put another construction road in to get to the area. So all the utilities for those respective locations are going to be run through those paths already.
So tonight, there's no action to be taken. This was informational for you. So if you do have questions or concerns, you can certainly reach out to the town manager in the coming days.
The expense is already contained within the project budget that's already been approved, but we just want to keep you all in the loop on how we're kind of adding more facets to the project team to make sure we keep everything on pace.
Yeah, I agree with Mayor Pro Tem. If, as big as this project is, it needs to have a good set of eyes on it all the time. And, kind of agree with Michael Paul. It's important to see we get feedback, well, it's a person here full-time or part-time, because it's a full-time job, I would think. Once the work gets started, it's always some kind of issue going on that somebody have to address. I almost take it as a general manager type job person in a private.
A little bit more technical.
Yeah,
and the alignment with our interests is a little bit more specific, but you can go ahead, Ms. Amy.
Just that, I go back to, it's a central person for coordination and communication, right? So if anybody, right now we have a team that are representing the owner, but it helps to have that single face. That one person, if you're associated with this project in any way, shape, or form, that with one person that represents the owner, you can call and they will follow up and get all the parties together and get things resolved.
Right.
What's the level of accountability that the owner's rep will have for this project?
That's a good question.
Yeah, another good question for our interview.
Yeah.
We go through. Yep. Okay, so going back to the question was asked about cost, that's been brought up a little bit. This is the second piece of my update tonight. You have a 5-year capital improvement plan that was approved with the budget. The last time we updated this was March of this year. There's been a lot that's happened since then, right? We've done a lot of this design development on the site, the buildings. We have some updated numbers, as you can imagine. These numbers in the first column for the site, this police station and fire station, are already out of date. So we need to update those. We have some more complete information on what the total cost of this project will be. As you just heard with the financial statements, we now, instead of having estimates of what we thought we would have on hand at June 30th, now we have actual numbers of what our fund balance looks like. And then there's some other projects you all have expressed some interest in, and we'd like to see how those may fold into these projects that you've already approved. So I've already made contact with financial advisors. We use Davenport and Associates, Mitch Bergoglio, Ted Cole, come to speak to you all several times. They put together this plan for us, talked to them about updating that plan. And so we are anticipating having some sort of work session with you all focused on the CIP in that first part of January, maybe the first 2 weeks, sometime in the first 2 weeks of January. So go ahead and kind of think about those, and we'll be trying to coordinate some dates for that. The other thing I want to talk about at that meeting is not only the updating the 5-year CIP, but let's also talk about updating your financial policy. I mentioned this at a prior update. It has been, I went back, look, it's been 10 years since we updated the financial policy. It's time to do that. One of Davenport's recommendations every time they have come to you and shown you these debt ratios is that they recommend you add some policies around debt issuance, because it will help you when you go to the LGC to get approval, and it'll help the financial folks who may be investing and buying that debt. So we'll do that. We'll roll that into that work session in January as well.
So you working on that now?
Yes, I've already started collecting information based on financial statements, and we're still trying to finalize some of the expected numbers on these projects. But we're getting pretty close, so we should have that ready for y'all early January.
Good. Any other questions? Amy? Can you answer the question I asked about the IT thing? I think we bought new software and stuff. Did we do an upgrade on our financial software?
Yes, so.
And I guess the question is, in this audit and stuff, is it easy to get stuff out? I know, talking to clerk, we get requests from people that wants request information. We have to do searching and stuff, and we don't have really good software to search. It takes hours and hours to search that out. But in your software, is it easy to find what you need to see pretty quickly?
So, yeah, so in 2020, I think we were some of the first demos that were all remote. 2020, we went out and did an RFP for financial software and received a good number of responses. We pulled together an interdepartmental team. It was mainly department heads. Finance did the first run through to make sure that some of the software systems met the minimum requirements from our financial standpoint. But we had a team with all the department heads who actually went through the demos with us, because we felt it was important that they could find a software that worked for them, for those casual users, to be able to get the information and see what they needed to see. And that's how we picked the software that we have. We intentionally picked one that would carry us through the growth that we have coming for the next few years. So we picked something that was much more robust than what we had before. It is more robust, which has benefits, and it has some challenges, right? It's benefits because now we are able to do more things, customize. We are set for the future. On the other hand, it is more complex. It can be a little challenging to maintain and understand. That's where Nidhi comes in again. She's the expert. Between the two of us, we can pretty much configure anything in there, I think. But so that's sort of the challenge when you get a new financial software. But no software is perfect. They all have some of their little things that irritate you. But generally, we are pleased with what we have, and we can get the information that we need from it.
Great, thank you. It makes you feel better, don't it, Commissioner Long?
Yes.
Software guy.
Software guy, yeah. Anything technology is great.
I know, and that's kind of what we're talking to the clerk forward is, our software for our minutes and all is not really searchable unless you put your eyes on it and search and stuff. It takes a long, long time to do that. And it's something we can think about next budget cycle too.
Yeah. No, actually, this year we had that approved in our budget this year. We put out an RFP for proposals. We vetted we had about 10 different companies submit. We cut it down, narrowed it down to 3, ended up selecting one. And so we're in the implementation phase of that new agenda management software. It'll dramatically decrease the headache that Chrissy has, and she goes through and prepares the minutes, but also makes it much, much easier when we get those public records requests. And then also will increase our capacity when it comes to the development of the agenda items and making sure that we edit those, because we have a lot of fillable forms and OneDrive, not Google Documents, SharePoint documents that we do, but a lot of those things be prepared within the system itself, and it'll make it more readily available to you all and easier to navigate when you all and our future commissioner is in the crowd. You can kind of click on the heading and it'll jump down to that spot, because you know that our agenda packets can be up to 300, 400 pages long, because we include the whole contract for y'all to read in transparency, and the whole contract for all of the community to observe as well. And the goal is to make sure that we can fine tune the internal things. And then the second phase of iteration, we look at what does the external experience and dashboard look like when it comes to having more interactive meetings, accessibility around captioning, language and things of that nature as well in the second phase of that. But we're in the implementation phase of that, and we're very excited about it because agenda preparation, super important, is one of the main ways we provide information to you all is through that, through these meetings and through that agenda. And so we want to make sure it's simple for the development and also the digestion to the community as well.
Yeah.
So we're doing that right now.
I think my understanding is the public will be able to search on it too, the minutes and stuff, rather than having to go in it.
It'll be integrated. It'll be integrated into our website.
Yeah.
And so that's something that a lot of places have moved to, particularly since there's such a high demand on information now, and people want it much, much quicker. And they want to wait a week and a half or 3 days for somebody to go through and search everything and what have you. And it'd be easier for Dave as well, because we send all those things through him too.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great job. Great financial update
Thank you.
altogether there. So appreciate the work on the audit too. Human Resource Department. There we go. I think the board is really interested in hearing what you got to update. So
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Commissioners. How y'all doing?
Miss Jenny.
How are you?
Miss Jenny.
Nice to finally be in front of you.
You can take the big podium.
I'm
Miss
not
Jenny.
presenting, I'm talking.
Come on, take the big podium.
I want to be right in front of them, but I listen to my boss. So I'm happy to be here this evening to give you an update on what the Human Resources Department is doing. So as you know, I've been here pretty much since the beginning of July, and it has been quite interesting and fun. You have a great group of people who work here, and I just want to give you some highlights of some of the things that we've been doing. And I believe that in your October 21st packet, there was for your information. So there was a summary of what we've been doing this quarter, but I'd like to highlight a couple of things, well, more than a couple, for you. I'm very proud that we have finished everyone's performance evaluation. So in your budget, you approved a focused performance evaluation system, moving away from anniversaries. So we were able to accomplish this year and get everyone's evaluation done, get their merit increases processed, and they've probably already received their notifications. It will be in their November 7th paycheck, their merit increases. To everybody who worked on that. And other things that we've been working on, we have implemented autometric hearing tests for the first time for the town of Rolesville, for our police officers and our public works personnel. The fire department, they already get those in their annual medical checkups, so we didn't have to do those for them. But we had a mobile van come on site. We contracted with a company that's very well-known, and they came on site with the van last Friday, and we had scheduled everything, thank you, Chief, and got everybody together. The van was at the police department, and all of our people were okay in terms of their hearing. The hearing tests are important for the police department because, you know, firing weapons on the range, or you know, it can have an impact on them that can lead to disability sometimes if we're not keeping up with that. So I feel like that's a big achievement for the town to make sure we make that an annual thing so that we are in compliance with the Department of Labor OSHA standards that we have to do. Also, we are hiring staff. As you know, we actually made an offer today for the planning department's administrative support specialist. And I would like to thank you all for approving our consent agenda item with regard to the amendment to the pay plan. That is really going to be a big deal for us in terms of making sure that we have people in place that can help get the strategic things done that we need to get done for all of the departments in the town. And finally, I would like to give you an update on the director's positions that are out there. So I'll start with the fire chief process. We have 3 candidates for the fire chief position, and we are going to have a process, an all-day process on November 21st, which will include 3 phases of interviews with town staff, interviews with, well, a meet and greet with fire department, and we are going to have an open meeting for the community, which I'm preparing an announcement, but here we are right now, and I'm telling everybody. We're going to have an open meet and greet with the community where I will ask them to send me questions that they may have in advance. Not saying they won't be able to ask them there, but just to get prepared in advance for that meet and greet with the public. So very, very optimistic about this process. Again, it will be on Friday, November 21st, and it will be an all-day process. And with regard to the planning director, we are still, our executive search firm is still vetting and interviewing some of the candidates that we have. We are in a very competitive environment when it comes to the planning directors, and so we are waiting to get resumes from them. Related to the human resources director, we have had interviews on site. We have had a meet and greet with a candidate, but in order for us to ensure that we are getting someone who has the municipal experience that I believe the town needs for this position, we are looking at some other candidates, and I have some additional folks that I'm going to present to the manager for his consideration. I believe it's very important that the town have someone who has municipal experience. So you can be in the private sector, but working in municipal government is different. And I think with everything that's going on with the town, you need someone who can help move you forward strategically, who's willing to bring change, who's willing to get with the departments to understand what it is they do. If you have never worked in municipal government, you don't understand municipal government. That's my belief. And so I feel, since y'all trusted me to be in this position, it is important, and I believe it's highly important for the manager to have an HR director who is a strong partner. And so that's what we're trying to do. So those are the updates on those positions. Again, thank you for approving the consent agenda item. I'm very pleased that we can move forward with those items, and I don't have anything else unless you have questions for me. Hold on, yes I do. Excuse me. Lily, my cohort, Lily Richardson. Lily?
Uh-oh.
I know I'm taking time, but I think it's very important. I would like to recognize Lily. This is Lily Richardson. Did I say my name? I'm Virginia Jones, interim HR director. This is Lily Richardson, HR analyst. And Lily has been such a resource, as you all know. She was here for herself for a while, and I don't think people understand how much is involved in doing human resources work. It's not just throwing events and doing wellness events and hiring people. There's a lot involved statutorily. And an example would be that now the state is requiring us to do fingerprinting for people in Parks and Recreation who work with children. That's a lot of work, you know, planning that, strategizing that, getting with the Parks and Recreation department to make sure that they have the things in place that they need to do. So I'd like to thank Lily for her support and everything that she did by herself when she was here alone. And she's been a great coworker. I have enjoyed working with her, and I'll continue to work with her until we get somebody in place for y'all and for her, because I think that's important as well. So thank you, Lily. Thank you. I'm gonna
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that said, I will be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I think she answered most of your questions, April.
She did. I do just have one more question. The
Yes.
planning director, you're still interviewing. You said it's very competitive. So you've already done some
The
rounds of.
executive search committee is interviewing people before they forward them to us.
Okay.
Yes.
And so they've been forwarding them and they're just not quite what we need, or they
have
haven't
not
even done it
forwarded
yet?
any to me. They're still vetting candidates. So if they're still vetting them, they're checking out backgrounds, they're asking them questions, they're doing their due diligence on their side before they send them to us.
Do you know if there are some that they think may come over to you all
I
do?
Yes.
Okay.
They give me updates every couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then I email them. They probably wish I didn't email them as much as I do. But, the town is paying a lot of money for them to do the work. And so I'm trying to hold them accountable.
With that being said, what's your timeline for closure?
I'm hoping we have a fire chief with November 21st. I'd like to think that we can make a decision before the middle of December. That will give time for the manager to consider everything that occurs on November 21st.
Okay.
And then with the planning director, I'm hoping they will have some resumes to me this month in November. And I actually reviewed some additional HR director applications, resumes yesterday. And they're getting with those people to see if they're still interested, if they are serious about passing their information on. I've seen their information, so I think we can wrap these up before the beginning of the year. And I know it seems like it's been a while, but these positions are important.
Very.
And I don't think you want to settle for anyone.
Right.
Right. You want people who are going to come in here and do what needs to be done, not someone that you're going to have to spoon feed.
Yeah. And so I think it's important we just kind of emphasize that we're not just hiring department directors, we're building a leadership team. Right. And it's important that we are super intentional on that. And even though it's taken, it seems like it's taken a while, we've done a lot of internal meetings, engaging staff, and meeting with the mayor, meeting with some of you about what are the expectations and gaps they see from both the internal experience when it comes to running the machine of a planning department, HR department, fire station, but then the external experience of like the customer service, all these different things that are deeply connected to some of these departments that do have external services, right? And so all those things are taken into account, and those things were reflected in the questionnaires and also being reflected in all the things that we've asked the search firm to do. And these are things that we consider to be non-negotiables, right? And so we don't have to bring somebody in to say, do you have experience with this? No, this, you got to have this. And so, and they are vetting those people and calling those references and making sure what are the questions you have before we go through the work of bringing all these people here and introducing them to staff. And setting the tone, because when we do that, we want to make sure that that person is in the midst of the bunch. And that's where we would like to be. And we stand in agreement on that. And we know that adding 3 new leaders to a leadership team is transformative, right? It's very rare that you can establish and add this much diversity in thought, talent, and all these things at one time. And so in doing that, it's been a good experience. We've been very intentional, but we're ensuring that we're not just having the best person for me or for Miss Jenny, because we're going to contract her to have her around a little longer because she's exceptional, but also for the town, right? Because there's great opportunity and liability in each one of these roles, responsibility and liability in these roles. And so it's important that we have the right people on the bus, and also they have the knowledge, skills, and abilities that to keep it rolling and build. Because we're taking everything into account. If you watch the last board meeting, I'm explaining this at length because I think more context is needed given some of the information people are asking for. But our interim planning director mentioned how many houses we had in the queue. And if it's 4,200 houses in the queue, and you take our average household size we're already, growth is already here. We're already grown. We're already adults. Like, we're not growing, right? We're continue to be a tight-knit community, but we won't be as small of a community as people say that we are. And so ensuring we have the systems in place for that is really important to get that established now so that we're not overwhelmed and find ourselves wishing we would have in the future.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
And I was looking at the agenda, and it says HR director. It doesn't say interim HR director. So I was wondering.
I didn't do that.
I was wondering if Eric and you had another type of announcement.
I'm a retiree, so.
You can come out of retirement. Michael Jordan did it.
Oh, yeah. Am I Michael Jordan?
I'm just saying. Somebody said you were the GOAT.
Yeah. Well,
Appreciate
it's a pleasure meeting you all and being in front of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel free to stay.
Okay. Well, we go to the new business now. Well, did we need to take a break? Is everybody good to run for a little while longer?
We need a break.
We need a break? Okay. Let's take I have on my clock 8:01. So let's go to 8:10. Everybody get back here by 8:10 and we'll start the new business. So thank you. Appreciate it. So we're in recess. Order. We got new business now on the agenda. The first one is legislative hearing for rezoning map amendment application REZ 25-05 Scarborough Village. So, Mike, all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mike Ellebarger, I'm the interim planning director. I'll be doing this presentation for the staff. And this presentation does include items 11A and B. B is related to it. It is an annexation for a portion of the subject property that's up for the proposed rezoning. And at the end, we have motions to cover all of that, the two of them. So really, this is both items under new business. So to first orient ourselves to the subject property, it is 3 separate tracts. The majority property is addressed as 201 South Main Street. There's then a sliver of unaddressed property, which has frontage on Main Street. And then the small triangle in the lower left corner of this exhibit on screen is addressed as 200 School Street. That little triangle, it's about a half an acre, is the portion that is for the rezoning, the voluntary annexation, as it is not in town limits presently. The remainder of the property is in town limits today. The total acreage is 13.15 acres. The current zoning is the residential low density RL zoning district. The proposed rezoning would rezone a approximately 1 acre portion all along the frontage of South Main Street to a general commercial conditional zoning district. The remainder of the tract would be a residential high conditional zoning district, RHCZ. The proposed uses are single family attached, AKA townhomes, for the majority of the property, and then a to be determined commercial development on the portion that would be the general commercial zoning district. Again, that's the small portion fronting Main Street. There is a previous case history to this property. Rezoning case 2305, known as Scarborough Apartments, was reviewed during 2023 and 2024, and exactly 1 year ago was before the Board of Commissioners for a legislative hearing. That request was denied. This application comes with a set of conditions of approval. We'll run it down really quickly through them. They are attached in your packet. General compliance to the exhibit concept site plan, which you see on the screen here. Documentation about what could be done with the existing stone home that sits at the front end or South Main Street frontage of the property, relocation, donation to another party, etc. Access would be prohibited from School Street, which bounds the kind of the west, or on this drawing, the left side. Collector road and side path construction. The Community Transportation Plan calls for a minimum 60-foot right-of-way collector level roadway through this property. It is shown kind of highlighted in yellow on the exhibit on screen. A 6-foot fence along shared property boundaries. This would be both along the planned north and the opposite or east side of that collector road adjacent those residential properties that bound it to the east. And then also provision of donating 1 acre of parkland. This would be located in the general southeastern corner of this property. That is that area kind of highlighted in gray, again in the southeast corner there, near that collector road. That piece of property would be then contiguous to the town campus property that the town owns. Looking at the future land use plan of the comprehensive plan, and I'll just take a second just to remind us all that the 2050 comprehensive plan was adopted just a few days ago. So staff has done an analysis against that new comprehensive plan, but as well as looking backwards at the 2017 comprehensive plan, which was the plan in effect when this application was submitted, just for complete coverage there. The text box there on the screen does note that the 2017 comprehensive plan called this property to be developed for high density residential. That was the classification. The new 2050 comprehensive plan category name has changed. It is now called downtown residential. So here I zoomed in on that future land use map in the red circle in that kind of recognizable shape, is that it's still a brown color as it was in the 2017 comprehensive plan. But the category is not property specific to just this property. You can see it also covers I call it the Perry and the Glen Street neighborhood, just to the due east of there. So it's more of an amorphous area and not just specific to this property. And for reference, that kind of light blue property to the right or the southeast of this, that is the town campus property for some reference. On the left is the pulled description of downtown residential from the comprehensive plan. And because this is literally the first time staff's been able to present a rezoning and look at a comprehensive plan category from the new plan, I would like to go through this in a little bit of detail, just so you can understand what this reads, as you're probably more aware of what the older plans land use categories spoke to. So this is parcels surrounding the town's core. They represent the concentrated residential development that supports a walkable downtown identity. Various support uses and mixed use developments add to the diversity of these parcels. Design considerations are described as reduced visitor parking requirements and multimodal connectivity to Main Street Park, and Young Street to encourage walkability in the downtown. Ensure diverse places to live in the town's core. Direct automobile traffic away from Main Street and leverage secondary routes to reduce congestion. Architectural enhancements should be considered for these land uses as they represent the first impressions of residential development in downtown Rolesville. Robust landscaping and commercial and screening requirements can help these uses feel separated from the busy commercial corridor of Main Street while still ensuring easy access to its amenities. In just a few words, the model uses are described as mixed residential and vertical mixed use. The compatible zoning districts were identified to be the residential high, RH district, and the neighborhood center, or NC district. Economic development considerations here are that ground floor commercial uses and mixed use developments might include a variety of retail and or office uses for personal care, professional services, dining, and other options strategically located for visibility and convenience. So to bring this back a little bit to what this rezoning is, it's for the residential high zoning district for, I'll call it about 12 of the 13 acres as a townhome community, and then approximately 1 acre would be general commercial and be all that frontage along South Main Street. So in that way, the request is consistent with requesting the RH zoning district in this land use category. Looking at some of the other policy decision directions here, the community transportation plan calls Main Street as a 2-lane divided section with curb, gutter, bicycle lane, sidewalks, all of those usual amenities. Then it does call for a collector connection. This is that north-south road that would run from South Main Street through the property and into the town campus property. Then also adjacent this area is a east-west connector, generally referred to as the Young Street connector, that would be running through the town campus property. Those two roads would connect, and those two roads would then allow one to travel from South Main Street over to Young Street. The Greenway and bicycle plans from 2022, they do recommend Greenway and side path in this vicinity. This property would have a greenway running along that new collector road from the south. This would be the last link of a chain of greenways to get one to South Main Street. And of course, you cross South Main Street and Main Street Park is right there. So this property does hold a critical linkage of the greenway network. Bicycle plan really does not affect this property, though the call out for South Main Street does mention bicycle lanes, I do believe. So overall review and consistency with the comprehensive plan. The proposed uses, again, residential of townhome type development and then commercial along the front of South Main Street, is relatively consistent with the future land use plans of both the 2017 and the 2050 comprehensive plans. This plan and this project is showing compliance with the CTP's collector road, that north-south road going through this property, connecting the town campus property to South Main Street. The Greenway connection is being indicated as being developed here, again, parallel to and running along that new collector road, again, connecting from the town campus property to South Main Street. And again, that would allow access for Greenway access to the Main Street Park. Regarding traffic and traffic impact analysis, the applicant performed a trip generation, and on the screen is the table of those. This analysis did not trigger or trip the minimum trips under the land development ordinance for a traffic impact analysis. It is worth noting that the applicant did not do any analysis of the commercial piece. So these numbers are run for just the townhome components. I believe one of the reasons is that the applicant has not come forth with any sort of land development for that commercial or general commercial zone area. No uses and no square footage, and those are the components that one needs to put into a trip generation calculator to generate potential trips. And I'm sure the applicant can speak further to that topic. This was brought before the planning board approximately 6 weeks ago. The planning board did make a recommendation of approval, though there was a suggestion of a condition of timing based on the Collector Street construction. There was a lot of discussion about that Collector Street that's in the CTP affecting this road, how it would relate to Perry Street, which connects to Main Street today. And you can see on the drawing how the new collector would basically overtop or replace the connection of Perry Street at Main, and then Perry Street would tee into that new larger road. There was some discussion also about the town campus project and how it would relate to the development and the timing of this north-south road. If the town campus project does not build that road, this road would largely only serve this development. It would just end right there around the stream area. Overall staff recommendation, for all the reasons that I've mentioned, is a recommendation of approval. You know, the land use, the townhomes, and non-residential along the Main Street frontage are consistent. The density of 6 units per acre is right within that density ideal. If anything, it's on the lower side for the residential high district and for the type of density of residential for an infill site like this in the town. The vehicular circulation network, as mentioned, is being shown to be in compliance. They would build that collector road across the property to Main Street. Some of the Main Street plan goals about promoting diverse housing. This would be a diverse housing option from single family detached. And plan goal number 4 is to reestablish a town center. Generally, residential density works to promote a town center and mix of uses, or primarily non-residential uses, by putting this density of folks within walking distance of what is the downtown core. On screen are some of the motions there. Again, we can get to that at the end of the discussion on this item. And the applicant representative is here, and they have a presentation that they'd like to give. I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Board, any questions for Mike before I open the public hearing? The consistency and reasonability, is that consistent with the current plan, or does it matter? I mean, what plan you describing is?
I believe the board adopted or adopted the 2050 comprehensive plan, so that would be the one that we'd want to speak to.
The current one?
Yeah, the current plan.
Okay.
This one doesn't have to go under when they submitted the application?
Given the spirit of permit choice, it's sort of an interesting question, and Commissioner Vilga asked me before the meeting. The comp plan is not a regulatory document. It's not a permit. It would be probably just as safe to reference both as you discuss this, because it doesn't sound like they're materially different with regard to this site.
So I think you said it was consistent with both, right? Is it consistent and reasonability for both?
The 2017 plan called the property for high density residential, again, with the majority of it being that, plus non-residential along the frontage. Yes. The 2050 plan calls it a downtown residential. The RH district was clearly identified as kind of that idealized district for that. Townhomes are kind of that middle road of between single family detached and multifamily. So yes, staff's feeling is that the proposal, including the details of the concept plan, are consistent with either the 2017 or the 2050 plan.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. I guess the other question on the site plan, the greenway, I thought we had in our new greenway plan that a greenway has to be kind of off of a road. It can't be on the side of a road. Is that not, did we not approve that?
It does get more connotated as a side path.
Yeah.
When we get to this point of Rolesville, there's really not much open space. That is the consideration of the board. If the board finds that the greenway should be in natural open space areas, not near development, that's part of the board's decision making if they do not feel that that's part of the policy.
So in this where it's being presented now, is it being presented as a greenway or a side path?
It is being presented as compliance with the greenway map, so a greenway. But again, in this context of the urban core of the downtown, eventually if that greenway connection is going to be reached to Main Street Park, it's going to be a far more urban setting than in a residential neighborhood that is, 3 to 5 miles away from the urban core. Kind of as you get closer to the center of the node, things are just going to get more urban and less greenway. But the greenway maps does have the line on this property getting right to Main Street Park. And again, there's a lot of other greenways in this area. When you start to get to the center of town that do not meet that kind of definition of in nature.
So on this map, does it connect to our property? Or I was thinking we're supposed to connect to the new property that's
Parker
being
Ridge.
developed. Yeah, but it connects to ours and then we have to connect it to them?
Essentially, yes. Because of the way that it would follow it would cross that stream in the southeast corner along the collector roadway. And then at that point in time, the subject property touches the town campus property. Then the town campus east-west connector could bring it over to the Parker Ridge. And then there's greenway all throughout the Parker Ridge project. And those connect to villages of Rolesville and on and on and on south.
One of the concerns was the road being used with the town campus as a cut-through or drive-through. Or last time we spoke on this, is that still a fear of yours?
Sounds like that would be encouraged, Commissioner.
Yeah, that's the way it is intended to be used.
But that's not what you wanted last time. Am I correct about that? That we didn't want that traffic in the new town campus area? Did I miss?
No, it was Prairie Street. We didn't want on Prairie Street.
Okay.
Yeah, so we wanted to shift traffic away from Perry Street to use the cut through the town campus. If this is approved, then that will be taken into account in the site plan for the town campus.
Okay.
Any idea what the additional expense would be for us to make that connection if this happened?
I do not.
To the town campus?
Yes.
No, we don't know. But we have presented it to ADW and Summit for that cost estimate. And so this is a new fact for us to take into account, because if it's not if it's not approved, then we're not permitted to just send an engineer down to do all that work. And so,
yeah.
But they've been mindful, and we did take the future placement of that street into account when we looked at the layout of the stormwater and the greenery and pollinator features within the town campus. And so the space is there, but the design of something will be additional.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I will open public hearing and hear the presentation from the applicant in this case. If you would, come up and state your name and address, and maybe where you worked at, if you would.
My name is Kyle Conway. I'm an attorney with Longleaf Law Partners. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and the property owners. I'm also joined by Courtney McQueen of Cunity Engineers. So a lot of this will be probably considered redundant of the presentation that was just occurred. So here's the aerial view of the 3 tracks that is the subject of this application. The addresses are 0 South Main Street, 201 South Main Street, and 200 School Street. It's approximately 13.15 acres in total. It's situated with Rolesville Elementary there on the west side of the property, and then South Main Street running on the north side of the property. And then, as we've already talked about, town campus will be on the southeast corner, and then the Parker Ridge development will be the southwest corner of that. Here's a view of the property from the intersection of Perry Street and South Main Street. This is an older home located on this property. It's currently uninhabitable. There's been talks of rehab, but from what we've heard thus far, the The rehab would be very expensive and also time consuming. So I'm not sure exactly where that stands, but I think we can go from there after we determine the application. Moving ahead, here's a view of the property from School Street. As you can see, it's cleared for the most part. There are some pine trees located on it, but for the most part, it is vacant. And just to give some background, here's the previous application that was mentioned that was filed back in 2024 that was ultimately denied by this board. It involved rezoning the entire assemblage to town center conditional zoning. Similar to the current application, it was going to be standalone retail along South Main Street, mixed-use buildings along the new street, that collector street that's been mentioned, and then apartments within the interior. The apartments, it was projected to be about 240 apartment units, which is approximately 18 units per acre. So a lot of apartments per acre there. Was also projected to be 10 to 20,000 square feet of commercial space along South Main Street. The Board of Commissioners ultimately denied that rezoning request. They cited concerns about traffic, massing, and density generated from these new developments. So moving ahead to this current application, we tried to address many of the concerns of the board. So rather than do the entire assemblage as one form of zoning, we're going to split it. Parcel 1, the 1.72 acre on the north that adjuts South Main Street, will be proposed to be zoned general commercial conditional zoning. And then the large bulk of the assemblage will be residential high density, also conditional zoning. So rather than do apartments, there was a transition to try to accommodate the board's concerns regarding the density and the traffic concerns. So instead of 240 apartments, the proposal is 63 townhomes within the residential high density conditional zoning. So as opposed to the previous application, which was approximately 18 units per acre, this is much smaller at 5.5 dwelling units per acre. And I would just also like to note that on September 22nd, the Town Planning Board unanimously voted for suggested approval of this application. I know these have already been mentioned, but these are some of the zoning conditions that are associated with this application. We've kept a lot of them the same as in the previous application that was ultimately denied. And it's not an exhaustive list, but these are the points that we thought were worth touching on. So first is that home that's located at the intersection of Perry Street and South Main. Give people the chance to document the home via photographs, detailed exterior elevation drawings, etc. Allow any entity or person to come in and relocate the existing home prior to its demolition, assuming that everything gets approved here. Also prohibit vehicular access to School Street so as to avoid any undue congestion around the elementary school. Construct the proposed collector road to the southern property line, which would, I know it's been mentioned, would connect to the Street H that's going to run from the Parker Ridge to the town campus. Also propose construction of a 10-foot wide path along the eastern side of the collector street. Construct a 6-foot tall fence along the shared property lines of those 5 homes that abut South Main Street. Construct a 6-foot tall fence along the eastern boundary of the proposed collector street just to aid in privacy. And then dedicate that portion on the southeastern part of the assemblage. It's about a 1 acre of parkland. Just dedicate that for aesthetic purposes to go toward the town campus and buffer the stream that runs on the southern portion of the property.
Can you point that out?
Yep, that green triangle that will show up on the, not one to pick up on the screen, but yeah, it's that triangle in the bottom right.
Triangle in the bottom right.
See that green triangle of the trees over there?
Mm-hmm.
So here's just an overview of the surrounding developments. As you can see, the application assemblage is that top piece. That's where the townhomes will be, the bulk of the property, which is going to propose to be zoned residential high density. And then that top square in red is the proposal for general commercial conditional zoning. And then to the southwest, you've got the Parker Ridge development. And then to the southeast is the proposed town campus. Just for some context, this is the current zoning of the area surrounding the assemblage. The bulk of this is residential low density, and which is all the light orange that you see. The reddish / darker orange is general commercial, which are both, the we're proposing to rezone that top piece that's against South Main Street as general commercial, which would be consistent with those other parcels that are zoned the same along South Main Street to create that walkable downtown feel. And then again, the bulk of the assemblage would be designated as residential high density. Here's the future land use map. This is from the previous version, but as you can see, the blue star right there, that is the property that we're talking about. The red that you see is commercial. All the brown, which is what the property is a part of, is considered high density residential, which is consistent with what we were proposing for the bulk of the property. Again, that top piece along South Main Street would be proposed to be general commercial, which would be consistent with those other red layers on either side that are adjacent to South Main Street. And then this is the future land use map that was recently approved. Again, the star is the property that we're discussing right now. On the left side of the screen, all of that purple is commercial center. And then on the right side, all of that orange that you see is downtown residential. And so with respect to the commercial center on the left, that's the area that we want to rezone as general commercial. Commercial center represents a conventional commercial use along the primary corridors. General commercial is a recommended zoning within that area, so it fits and is consistent with that plan. Because we're limiting the general commercial to just that area on South Main Street, this is why we feel that it is consistent with the surrounding areas, especially those pieces to the west. And then with respect to the right side of the screen, the downtown residential, like I said, the bulk of the assemblage will be proposed to be zoned residential high density. And this is just going to create that downtown residential feel adjacent to that commercial center, the general commercial zoning. Residential high density is a recommended form of zoning within that downtown residential. So we've shown that the general commercial for the top piece of the parcel and then the residential high density for the bottom piece and bulk of the parcel is consistent with their respective future land use maps. And then here's just another instance to show the consistency with the proposed zoning and the future plan for Rolesville. So this is the Main Street Vision Plan. As you'll see, the site is labeled there in orange, right there in the middle of that photo. The plan notes that this zone includes the Village District Zone, or Village Core Zone, excuse me, already includes commercial, retail, office, school, and shopping center uses. Our plan, as stated, would propose standalone retail against South Main Street, and then it would be supported by the townhomes that would be built on the bulk of the assemblage with more residents that would enable this downtown feel and consistency. So just a general overview, the proposed rezoning to residential high density conditional zoning for 63 townhomes is consistent with the prior future land use map, which was showed a few slides ago for which recommended high density residential. We also noted that to accommodate some of the concerns of the board with the previous application, we've drastically reduced the density from 18 units per acre to approximately 5.5 units per acre. This is done from switching the plan from apartments to townhomes. It's also, the proposed zoning is also consistent with the recently adopted Rolesville 2050 future land use map. Commercial properties along South Main Street, which are in close proximity to walkable residential developments, which is the case here if approved. The proposed rezoning to general commercial conditional zoning for the 1.41 acre parcel along South Main Street will further the Main Street Vision Plan, which is that village core that I showed earlier. It'll help facilitate new commercial uses and help revitalize downtown Rolesville. It's compatible with the existing residential development, which was shown. Everything zoned around there is currently, for the most part, residential. And then the proposed zoning conditions also maintain neighbors' privacy and limit impacts to Rolesville Elementary. This comes from building those 6-foot tall fences, also building that collector road, which would eventually connect to Street H, which runs from the town campus to the Parker Ridge development. And I believe that the applicant, if approved, would build that portion of the collector road that runs to the edge of their property line. And I think Mr. Marsh touched on this at the town planning board meeting back in September, that the town, if this is approved, would build that connecting piece from the collector road on the proposed property to that Street H that runs through the town campus and the Parker Ridge development. So this addresses those concerns regarding density traffic. It avoids any excess traffic going to Perry Street. We would, as stated, have a cut through essentially with the Street H and the Collector Street. And again, just to sum it up, we think that this proposed rezoning is consistent with the future plan of Rolesville. Thank you.
Sir, could you open up the presentation, please, and go back so I can see the proposed 1.41 acres for commercial? Okay, I see that. So any ideas of what commercial? And what phase would a commercial be built? Because as we build in our LDO, we're talking about a certain percentage of houses, then commercial pieces.
Yes, my name is Courtney McQueen. I'm with CUNY. Right now, we're looking at rezoning that, and we did not show any specific details because the owners are looking to speak to different tenants to see what kind of use that they would have on that land. Through multiple neighborhood meetings, we heard different things for the community, having from coffee shops to small bookstores and things of that nature. And they were able to better speak to potential tenants with the zoning approved to say this is commercial and now have that. So the specific uses aren't known at this time because the layout would be dependent on the type of tenant.
Okay, with that being said, with the idea of having it so that way that it doesn't impede traffic going down on Main Street, are there any talks about having turning lanes?
Because we didn't trigger the TIA at this time, that is unknown. Right now, there is an existing curb cut for a driveway entrance off of Main Street, and the way it's positioned now is to potentially have an entrance as the T intersection of Perry and the Main Street collector that would be proposed. But in terms of the details of any turn lanes of that nature, this is about 73% less density than the original project we bought to you guys. And so it wasn't enough information to even trigger that conversation at this time.
So are you asking for all the uses in a general condition zoning district? Yeah. So you're not exempting any, or we're not exempting any that we may not want there?
No, unless you have, if there's something that the board feels uncomfortable with, we definitely take that into
nothing has came up in discussions
but
with staff,
that didn't
anything?
come up into the discussion at this time.
About Main Street and what we don't want on Main Street and what we do want on Main Street and that kind of thing?
Clearly, the general commercial district has been a topic of great discussion over the past few months in this room. General commercial is the broadest of our zoning districts and allows wide-ranging uses. The ones we might commonly consider to be general commercial, like retail and eating establishment, but also things like car wash and kennel, hospital, urgent care, minor vehicle service, and storage facilities, and others that have been of concern to the board and are either pending as text amendments to change those things or in consideration for the same.
Are apartments included in general commercial? Are apartments included in general commercial?
I do not know that off.
I will find out very quickly.
You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just saying that the acreage is such a small acreage that it really cannot accommodate large uses like such as hospital, things of those natures. But the applicant is fully open to amend and create some additional prohibit uses that the board feels is appropriate for the space. I know at this time we worked a lot and spoke to a lot to the neighbors, and they were looking at smaller venues, smaller restaurants, cafes, that sort of thing. So nobody's really intending on trying to find a tenant that would meet some of the uses that were just mentioned here. But the applicant is fully open to be able to add any of those prohibits if necessary.
So I think I would like to see some of those in there because that the general commercial will allow up to 3 stories in that area. Okay. And if they're specifying that they want small, then I think that we should have something in here stating that it won't be 2-3 stories. It would be fitting for that area. So I think that should definitely be in there.
Yeah, I think this is a very sensitive place. And in the past, we've always had discussions about the noise, what type of environment is the place going to have, bands outside at nighttime and that kind of thing. I think all those things have to be thought out before we just give GC to something like this.
Understood. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm more comfortable with our conditional zoning because we had that on Main Street my last 4 years here. And we have that for a reason. So I do recommend to the board that we have it at CZ.
Well, it is being proposed at conditional rezoning. So we are able to.
Certain conditions.
Exactly, yes. And we're able to add the conditions that the board thinks is appropriate, and we're willing to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just they aren't there yet.
Commissioner Paul, dwelling upper story units are permitted in GC. So just not on first floor.
Much like we have a cobblestone.
Correct.
That would be one of the conditions I would like to see. And let me say to the owner, I applaud you. This is a much better proposal than the last one we dealt with. I'm still having an issue with the amount of traffic it will do, but it's far less than last go around. So thank you for doing that. And also appreciate the commercial aspect on Main Street. And we just need to figure out what that commercial piece will look like.
Yeah. So I think, make sure I'm right about this, Dave. I know, thinking back, the ones we had issues with is the ones that affect Wall Creek, basically. And we had to, put some special things for the neighbors there. And also a couple of.
Looking at the applicant, I think the applicant's waiting to hear the board express the uses that would be of concern, and I think you'll receive an affirmative response.
Yeah, I'm not sure we are ready to do that because, we hadn't done that. Typically we see it come with some.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the thing that I think we're struggling with. We're not seeing any of those tough things that
would go in there. Yeah.
And the board certainly knows what to do if it needs more time.
Yes.
So can we talk about one other thing? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Were you finished?
Go right ahead.
So can we talk about the Perry Street? And in the planning board meeting, there was a lot of discussion about what if the town's portion was not approved by the Corps of Engineers to pass over the wetlands. When would we know that? And also, so it was proposed to the developer, let me read my notes here, that they would discuss what could be an alternate plan if the Corps said no. They would figure it out if there was a condition to create a fallback if it's not approved, and possibly find another point of access. Was that discussed?
So my understanding from that meeting was that the timing of the construction, and please by all means, if you could speak to that, the timing of the construction right now, the town campus is underway to probably get started towards the end of this year or so. And so with that being stated, it's easier to get a 404 permit when there's already road there to connect to.
I'm sorry, there's easier to get a what?
It's easier to get environmental permits to cross that stream when you're connecting to a road. The issue is when you're connecting to nothing. They deem that as this impact that's not necessary. So with that understanding of the construction schedule of the town, we have the ability to not have that be an issue. Because once this rezoning hopefully is approved, we still have to go through the site plan process, the CD construction document process. That's a good 2-year process before we could even get into construction and permitting. So by that time, when we would go to apply for permits, there'll be a road there, and that takes away that issue.
But if that's a condition for us, we're in a catch-22.
What do you mean?
So I think it's more of a question of the timing of the construction of the town campus that would really help that Do you mind speaking to that at all?
Yeah, so it's our intention to build all the roads in the site development phase. And so though the roads will be complete before the buildings are complete. We have taken this into account from a concept as a concept. And in the conversation that we had with our engineers, they did not see having that road connection there to be an issue and it getting approved given how much green space we have on there. So we've been very intentional on leaving a lot of green, active walking space on the campus. It's not super dense, right? And so we don't see that to be an issue. If this were to be approved, then we will have a tangible reason to be able to put public fund tax dollars towards expanding the engineering assessment to move forward with that road on our town campus.
But absent approval, we wouldn't build that section coming into the Scarborough property. So that's what I'm saying. We're going to build that piece if this is approved, but we're not going to have that unless, we've got two pieces of it and neither one's willing to go without the condition of approval of the other.
So as the law is today and as the thoroughfare plan is today, town campus is required to build that road because town is a developer and is treated just the same as any other. If a private sector developer had come along, they would have been required to build the thoroughfare road. Of course, what is different here is that this board or a future board could amend the thoroughfare plan and make the requirement go away. That is something that no private developer has the power to do. So that is truly the only question mark. The question mark with regard to the staff's design has been the phasing of the project. Could the road that runs to the northwest from the Young Street connector be pushed to a later phase rather than be in the initial site construction phase? And just like a private developer, phasing is a possibility that you can bring through the planning department. So I believe this isn't a yes or a no, it's a when.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Sure.
So I know we've beaten this dead horse to death, but I was thinking the road that it connects to was supposed to be put in by the back development. The one.
Parker Ridge.
Parker Ridge was supposed to build the road out to West Young Street, if I recall,
Yeah.
and that was a condition that they had to meet, if I recall.
Yes.
So we, the initial road that was decided on in the conversation that we had with the developer was one that went straight to Young Street, and it was of a particular cross section that was smaller than what we wanted to have inside of the town campus. And so we took a fee in lieu in regards to that. And so the amount of money that would have taken in that point in time, I think it was like 1.25%, like whatever that cost was being conveyed to us in lieu of them building that road. And that's going into our project budget, into the site plan phase of the budget. And so we're building on their behalf because the road that we decided to do is considered betterment in comparison to what was initially agreed for them to build for us at that point in time.
So we've collected that now, it's our requirement.
We're working on that, right? But yes.
I don't remember how far it was long. Okay, any other questions? Did you have anything else you want to say about the commercial side of it? I know the
No,
board
not
is
necessarily commercial. I just wanted to clarify just a little more detail about the parkland that's being dedicated. We worked a lot with neighbors and with staff, and one of the recommendations from the Parks and Recs board was if you look at the map, you can see the arrows on the town side. You see that dashed where the proposed road is, and the arrows and the bubbles, that is proposed to be parkland development, park use, paths and meandering things throughout the woods. And so one of the recommendations that we received from the Parks Board was to dedicate that land because it's adjacent to where they are planning to have some of this outdoor recreational components. And so that's why that sliver was dedicated. So I just wanted to clarify that piece to it, that it was an intentional thing that we were working with staff about.
Were there any any concerns raised by the Perry Street community about sharing the entrance to Main Street?
Yes, their biggest concern was the traffic and avoiding the traffic that's going through their neighborhood. They're dealing with some serious issues with traffic. My heart goes out to the issues that they're facing. The biggest concern that I heard was understanding the timing of our development and the town's development, because if the town builds that road and we build our road, traffic's able to bypass cutting through that neighborhood. And so I know that was a big concern that they had. And that's why we were looking to make sure we understood the timing of the town's development to ensure that that connection happened.
Thank you.
Any other questions for commercial piece of it?
No.
Thank you. Did you finish your?
Yes, sir.
You did finish? Any questions for the attorney? The thing I didn't see, and it may be in there somewhere, is those three houses on the end of School Street?
Oh, down here, yeah, they're still there. We maintain that access. And so what we did was, there is a buffer that's required against our property, but they have a easement to get there. We pushed our development up and started the buffer after their current entrance so that we would not hinder their property.
Yeah, but I didn't see where any right of way was. I mean, they're on your property now getting into
Yeah, we maintain that access easement. Right now it's a recorded access easement.
So they will have to deal with the homeowner association in the future?
No, they still have the easement. That access easement is still in place. We're not proposing any changes
But
to
who
that.
owns the property? Who they have the easement from, though? Who will have the?
Right now, the owner, it will probably most likely have to be a part of the agreement with the HOA. Correct.
That's what I was thinking.
But that's not looking to change.
And I guess the reason I'm asking is, why would you rather have that than dedicated property that homeowner association don't have to deal with?
That's a great question.
And then we don't have to deal with it if we want to do improvements to the property that's owned by the homeowner association, right?
Well,
Right?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understood that.
I'm
last piece.
So I would need to look at that because it may be considered a driveway and not a road. So I'll have to look into that one from a stat perspective.
Are you talking about the current driveway to the home? So yeah, those are private driveways. They're not maintained by
They're
town.
not roads.
They're a private driveway, yeah.
I know they're not, but if we annex them one day, which I think someday they will have to be annexed, they're all around, then where will we have the right of way to put a town street in? Because at that point in time,
Well, right now, according to the CT plan, I don't believe it's showing.
you draw a street on here almost on a dotted line, but it doesn't really. If I look at page, was it 100 maybe? You show how it could work, but those dotted lines is not dedicated to anything. On my presentation, I got it's 100, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Are you referring to the dashed lines at the in between the commercial proposed parcel and then the residential parcel?
Yeah, this is actually.
Those are the proposed fences.
I don't know what page. This is in our presentation as 100 on our agenda. So I'm not sure what page it is in your drawings. It's C. It looks like it's C10 maybe. Concept site drawing.
Page
Is
100.
it one of our presentations? Does it look like this?
Yeah.
It's more detailed than that.
Oh, thank you.
I do have a question about that donation though. Is that land considered passive or active? 'Cause
So that dashed line is a temporary construction easement. It's not a road. Are you able to zoom that up? Yeah.
For you, yes, you can stop yours. Is this what you're looking at?
It's a different drawing, but that is the same thing. But I'm not understanding why we're not having that cleaned up. And maybe Dave, that's something we can talk to you about. Because I don't want any future problems with this property if they ever have to be
So-
annexed.
So right now, that dashed line is the construction easement and the access easement area. Are you asking about if we, and that triangle is the part that's not annexed yet? I'm just needing a little more clarity of what you're
Yeah.
asking.
In my map, it says landscape buffer
Correct,
adjustment around asset easement.
correct. And that's why I was saying that we want to maintain access to those lots.
Yeah, and my question is, when we're all long gone, do we want that to be an asset easement or do we want that to be a right of way?
Well,
That's a difference, right?
for those four properties, yes. I can only speak to what the transportation plan has shown, and it doesn't show any road connection there. I know one thing that I remember from last time with the board, there was a lot of concern about the traffic along School Street and trying to hinder that traffic coming down School Street. That's one of the main reasons why we've turned our back to making that connection. And that you would have to access School Street to get to those properties. So with that understanding that at this time, there's no planned road for that area and the concern about all the additional traffic along School Street next to the school, I would assume that the town would not look to make that into a public right of way because it doesn't connect to anything. There's also an existing stream buffer. And if you, well, I guess I can't go back to the other picture that runs from the parkland that we're dedicating down to Parker Ridge. You see their open space is a stream buffer there, so it can't make the connection. So
I guess the thing, I think they're already getting services, right? They're getting water, I'm pretty sure.
They're not in town limits.
I know they're not, but I think they're getting water because of
There
safe.
was one that was a condition of approval of Parker Ridge, if you
So
recall.
I think Frank helped them get water down there, if I recall. And I see Pam shaking her head. And, if something ever happened and they need services, we got to annex them. And I just feel like we need to clean it up before something happens and we have to annex them in the future. And then we have all these problems to deal with homeowner associations and everybody else being involved in stuff. I just think it's a cleaner thing to figure it out now.
Understood. Yeah. So
Just very quickly, this likely gets resolved at the site plan level because we do have standards for public streets and we generally require that dwelling units front on public streets. So if the right-of-way is on their site, it's likely that that's going to come up as a site plan comment, just as an objective compliance matter. That said, I'm not sure that I would know why the developer would care one way or the other.
I don't either.
Just put the dotted line and dedicate it, because as long as you're not having to improve it now, it doesn't cost you anything.
okay, and just to be clear, I just want to make sure because I feel like we're talking about a few different things. When you say dedicate, are you talking about where there's a current access easement to go ahead and dedicate that access easement? And
Well, I would say have your attorney talk to Dave. Dave's, for me, when we deal with homeowner associations, it's very difficult because they have to go through a process of getting so many homeowners agree to anything we can have to do on their property, they have a very difficult process. Sometimes they have to get their citizens to vote on it and all. So anytime we can get them out of the equation that we have to deal with in the future, I think don't you agree, Dave?
I do. Come find me. There's a subdivision, there's a street detail, and whatever that width is back to back, that's what you would be dedicating now. I don't know that would have any unintended consequence on your site, but it's going to come up during site plan anyway.
okay, so the idea would be to have that dedication tie into School Street. Is that
It would presumably go the same way it goes today.
Yeah, nothing changes other than who owns it.
okay? I think that is easy to accommodate because we want to ensure that those lots have access, and that's why we didn't change it to begin with. And if the board finds that it will be better in the future to maintain or to just deal with in general, that's something we could definitely accommodate.
Do you agree, Eric?
But typically, but again, like I would say, like those details are at site plan stage. So I'm sorry, go ahead, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was saying, I understand it's at you all's recommendation to take action on that. So,
Yeah, I don't want them to be cut off back there. And, and I really feel like if something happens and they come to us, Dave, our attorney, is going to tell them that's a private matter. We can't really help them solve that. And I don't want them, those people live back there. I don't want them to be. I don't want that to happen. Right?
I'll put on the record that I suspect after this meeting, the applicant's attorney will recommend dedicating this right-of-way so that it is never the developer nor the future HOA's problem.
Right. 'Cause really,
It becomes a
on the
town
private
problem.
Ways being proposed, we wouldn't have any say so.
Correct.
We would
So-
not be able to resolve the problem if they come to us, and we having problem with people in the county or outside of town that is in our ETJ that's really difficult to deal with because they're private properties and private owners, and we don't own them. We don't own the dirt road or anything.
Understood completely,
just-
yeah.
I may be wrong, but I just see a problem with what it's doing with the easement. Easements is messy always, and
We recognize that. Thank you. That was a great point, and we would love to amend this to have that access easement be dedicated as right-of-way on our property to ensure that the owners can still have access no matter what happens in the future with HOA. Yes.
So in light of this possible change and questions about the commercial and public comment upcoming, and not sitting here till 10 o'clock at night talking about this,
yeah.
I'd recommend that someone make a motion to continue this to another.
Yeah, let's get through.
I move we continue this project conversation
We'll continue.
till the next meeting.
We'll take that vote, but I'm gonna make sure nobody want to speak on it tonight.
Well, but I wanted to ask about that too, because if I was going to speak on this and I was in the public, I feel like I'd want to talk when everything's going on. But I mean, that's up to you guys to decide. But I mean, keep it together just to make sure.
Yeah, no one signed up. I want to get through their presentation and make sure anybody heard anything that they concerned with, that will know it. So what else do you guys have? Anything else to share or any questions from the board, from the applicant?
We're done.
Okay.
We hear everything.
Thank you.
Yes, any questions? Thank you.
So with that, I know no one signed up, but there's been a lot of discussion, and I want to give opportunity to anybody that decided you want to speak to come up and tell us your concerns. You got 3 minutes. It sounds like the board is going to continue it, so it's going to be coming back to us anyway.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. They're coming back with the amendments, but also they're going to come back with what specific commercial entities they're going to be that they're eliminating from this, correct?
Well, that's a 2 hour. Dave, did you have anything else that you heard the board asking for?
Was there something else?
We looking for them for recommendations on what they would like to be.
Certainly the applicant would like to hear from the board rather than them guess.
I would suggest, the last real sensitive one we had was that one in front of Wall Creek, and we worked through that. They would come and offer things, and we worked through that to quieten it down. Mm-hmm. And the biggest concern, I think the biggest concern I would have if I lived over there is, are they going to have DJs out in the back and stuff like that? Noise was a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Establishments with noise and stuff.
That was the 503 South Main rezoning. You're right.
Huh?
The 503 South Main rezoning.
They're not doing it now. It's got signed back, but that's.
Yeah. I can advise the applicants to look at that set of conditions.
Yeah, and also maybe look at the one that's down on Jonesville Road, the one that
on the corner,
the one crossing the ABC store.
Okay. Yes.
Because it was some uses there. That's what's similar that those people living out there is concerned with. I just could see a worst case, something coming there that's not going to be neighbor friendly. We need to make sure it don't happen.
Car wash? Yes.
I don't think so.
So we'll say no on car wash.
Yes, that's correct.
Minor vehicle service?
Correct.
Anything that's currently in a text change
Funeral
sort of a
homes
world.
right there.
Main Street
Excellent.
people,
No gas stations.
it wants to de-emphasize car-type establishments.
Okay.
That's excellent guidance.
That would be car washes, gas stations.
It's okay. It's okay for y'all to
auto
articulate those
zones,
things.
All those things, so.
Right.
Dentist's office.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Would it be okay if we looked at a list and created a preliminary list to send to you guys in advance to make sure you guys are?
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be very beneficial.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, one last chance. Anybody from the public want to speak? I think, David, when I leave this one open for continuation, since nobody spoke, I'll allow them to speak when they come back. When we come back, make sure.
That sounds
I'm allowed
that sounds
speaking-
excellent.
Speaking to continue to. So, go ahead.
I don't have anything to sign in. One question.
Name and address.
Actually, owner, 40 Clifton Farm Road. Would the board issue a permit for anything that falls outside of what the board would deem acceptable down the road after the zoning is accomplished?
If it's within the parameters, we wouldn't have any say in it.
Once that zoning.
We're trying to limit it to something less than what could be available. That's the
Hence
issue.
the specificity of this.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
And I would say on y'all side, you kind of should have idea of what can go there. So, I don't think you have idea you want to put a car wash there anyways. So that should be an easy one to.
Nor this.
Right. So it's a situation where you kind of figure out what you're going to market to also. But we get some strange things to show up. So that's why we want to make sure. So with that, now one thing, Lynn, if you want to do a continuation, is we're not going to have another meeting with public hearing until January.
Okay.
That's on.
First week of in January,
Yeah.
January 6th.
And the board presumably would be continuing 2 cases.
Yes. To what?
2 cases.
So it would mean 2 motions? Or would this suffice in 1 motion?
You can do 1 motion, just name both cases.
So what's the date you're going to motion with?
To January 6th. Excuse me. Yeah, January 6th.
Okay.
So I have a motion for rezoning, for motioning to delay this particular motion until January 6th for REZ 25-05 and the proposed motion for REZ for the adoption of GS 168-31 and Annex 2503 200 School Street until January the 6th.
Okay, so I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion, second.
The manager and I may have missed the motion. Was there a time in that motion?
January 6th.
Time?
7 p.m. I mean, 6.
No, I think you're meeting next year at 5:30 instead of 6:30.
No.
No.
So,
We are.
no, we're not. So
Okay, I
you
just heard this from the manager.
If so, Commissioner Vega dodged the bullet. So this is my recommendation is for their first meeting in January. We know that the work sessions used to start at 5:30 before we move to the central time of 6:30.
Okay.
Because we are not having because we're not taking on actionable items through the month of December, the backlog for things that need decisions is getting pretty long. And to avoid having January, February, March ever stacked up, and also to avoid creating too much inconvenience for our development community, starting that meeting in January at 5:30 instead of 6:30 will help to where we won't be until 11 o'clock at night, and it will help get through some of those agenda items like these that you've already been familiar with, but just will still need a little bit of time. And so that was something I was mentioning him to see if it was something you would entertain, either 6 o'clock or 5:30, for the sake of knowing that will be a very long agenda.
So
And so
in the motion, it has to have the exact time.
It's got to be the date. It's the It's the date, time, and place of the meeting, certain.
Establish that date when we approve the schedule for next year, December.
And certainly, if
Correct. We can wait for
something
that.
were to change, we would re-advertise. It's not the end of the world. But given that the manager just gave us a forecast that he's going to ask you to switch the time, it would be great for the applicant to show up at the right time and the public as well. So 5:30 on January 6th is, if this is okay with the board, would then be what the motion would be. And that will be, in fact, your regular meeting time for that day.
5:30 is a stretch.
6.
Okay, so I got an amendment to the motion to state same motion with 5:30. Who's second?
6, Mayor.
We're going to 6. I'm just
6, please.
trying to be mindful of that time piece. 6 to half hour would still help out a lot, but I know it'll be a lot on you all. And
6 p.m. is what we've.
yeah, because right, it was 6 or 7 and we chose 6:30.
So we got a motion second. Any further discussion? This is a motion to continue to January 6th at 6 p.m. And
6
if no other discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say likewise. Sounds like the ayes have it. Ayes do have it. So we are going to continuation meeting. And the intent of this continuation will also be, public will be able to speak at it. So make sure that they will be able to speak. We're not closing the public hearing.
You hadn't just, no one would have ever.
Apologize for disclosing the manager's secret in advance there.
Okay. Next item is communication from town attorney.
I do not have anything, but the clerk does. We have 2 matters that we need to take up with regard to special meetings this month.
Okay.
And so the clerk has that.
Okay. Good evening, Board of Commissioners. We will need action for 2 items this evening regarding our special meetings. First, to formally schedule the special meeting for the December 10th board retreat.
November 10th.
No, I'm sorry. November 10th board retreat. That is correct.
What? Okay.
The November 10th board retreat special meeting. The minutes currently reflect only that the board preferred that date, so official action is needed to confirm it. The second is to amend the regular meeting schedule to change the start date on the November 18th special meeting to reflect 5 p.m. on November 18th. And that special meeting was the Vision Alignment Workshop, the joint meeting with the Rolesville Downtown Development Association and the Planning Department,
What was that time again?
5 p.m.
Does that have an 8:30 hard stop?
There is no, it's whatever the board chooses.
What time is the one on the 10th?
The one on the 10th is at 6:30, our regular
Five.
time.
Oh, that Monday, the 10th.
Monday the 10th is at 6:30.
Monday
6:30?
the 10th is at 6:30, and it's the November 18th that's at 5.
Got it.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. So these are.
So the 10th is at 5.
One moment.
5 p.m.
Oh, well, that's not, okay.
It's up to us to decide whether to do that or not, right?
The board has a hard stop whenever it desires, or whenever the chair, which is the mayor, decides to gavel us recessed. But the board doesn't set a stop time.
Yeah, I think it's a request from staff, and y'all saw it in emails, and I think the day before Veterans Day was the day that everybody kind of, or most everybody kind of agreed to. And then the other one is just starting early. Would everybody understand, I guess, you want Stephen to come up and explain kind of what these shops are for and what they're trying to do that. Stephen, you want to do that? Give them a quick overview of what the two things are?
Yeah, both
session. So the board retreat on the 10th, that would be facilitated by UNC School of Government. So we have them come out. Dinner will be served as well. And that agenda is from 5 to 8:30. If you guys wanted to go longer or have finished earlier, just based on the facilitation, you know, that's totally up to you. But that's what we planned out the agenda for that one. And then the vision alignment workshop, which is on the 18th, that is from 5 to 8:30 p.m. as well. And so that is the participants who have been invited is the planning board, the Downtown Development Association, of course, yourself as the commissioners, the leadership team from the town of Rolesville Economic Development. And that's also facilitation from Fountain Works. They did a strategic plan for the town, who you're familiar with. And that's really around getting joint consensus of what the vision of downtown Rolesville should be, incorporating a comprehensive plan and a multitude of stakeholders so there can be consistent alignment around communication of what downtown Rolesville can and should look like. So as we interface with a multitude of stakeholders, there's a shared vision and alignment. There'll be deliverables that will come from that workshop as well, but that is also from a facilitation standpoint scheduled from 5 to 8:30. If you want it to go longer, we can talk to them as well.
So Stephen, I thought I heard you say 5 to 8:30 was a time frame for both meetings.
Correct. But it's up to you. If I understand from our town attorney, if you wanted to go longer than that, we can absolutely make it go longer or shorter if you so choose.
I say no.
So
I don't
we-
want
Paul
for
wants to
longer.
go longer after.
For clarity, we often tell speakers they have 3 minutes or 20 minutes, but that's not the same as how long the board can convene for. So the board typically sets when they will convene, and they adjourn whenever they're done. And that could be earlier or later. You're not bound. If you bind yourself, in theory, you can't go beyond that.
Right. So if we say 8:30, we got to close at 8:30 because people will expect you to be closed at 8:30, right? Public. So, are everybody clear what they're asking? It's a new meeting on Monday from 5:30 to 5. So
Thanks, I'll
5
put
to
that my phone right now.
5 to 8:30, or we don't want to put that.
Whenever.
And then the next meeting is just on a workshop night, right?
Correct.
You're just changing the time.
Yes, just start a little bit earlier.
5 p.m.
Yes, and food will be served. Yes, we'll send you a
So
link to
is there a
menu.
reason of changing the time on the workshop night?
Just because we'll have more stakeholders for the workshop.
Okay.
There'll be more participants. There'll be interactive engagement
Okay.
through the facilitation. So there'll be more people in the room, so there'll be more dialogue.
I got you.
For a chance for all of the stakeholders to have a chance to participate in what that alignment is for our downtown.
All right. So what is the wishes of the board on this? I entertain a consideration for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we got a consideration to approve and a second. Is any other discussion?
Can we invite the newly elected
Yes,
commissioner?
I think so. It's a public hearing. It's a public meeting, right?
Yeah,
It's a public meeting. It's a public meeting. It's a special meeting.
So, yeah,
All right.
she certainly can come, for sure. I would hope she would, if she can. Everything from now on. Just
Right.
think about that, everything from now on. So got a motion, a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say likewise. Sounds like the ayes have it. Ayes do have it. Motion approved. All right, you got your meeting.
Thank you, appreciate
I
it.
know you and
Thanks,
Christine
Steven.
have been trying to figure that out, so you got your meeting. What else from attorney? Anything else?
Nothing else, sir.
All right, anything from town manager?
Yes. The first thing is just some updates around grant applications. We received in total, the amount of funding, we received $35,000 from the state and local cybersecurity in the form of a state and local cybersecurity grant. And so we'll be starting working with a consultant to pressure test our cyber defenses and get recommendations on how we can move that forward. And so that's a $35,000 grant. It's $50,000 total funding going to that, and we're matching with $15,000 from our operating budget for that. Additionally, today we submitted an application in partnership with Wake County, Central Ponds, NCFC, and with the support of ADW for a Raleigh-Wake County Hospitality Tax Funds. And so to date, we're the only municipality within Wake County that has not received any of those funding before. And so our request is for $7.6 million to go towards the farm and to building out a multi-field sports complex. And so in the presentation we had with the farm about 2 meetings ago, they outlined the different phases. And so the phases we're actively working on right now is the event / multi-use building that's there with the space that's adjacent to it. And our intention was to do site development to bring those fields up to a level playing field to be used as grass fields. And the hope is that this additional grant money, if received in partnership with some partners that are interested in leasing those recreation fields long-term, one of them being a soccer NCFC that we've partnered with to execute our youth soccer programming, and the other is a baseball team that's looking for a new home. And so we're engaging them to be partners on that. And so the hope is that this, number one, we will receive that grant. We should hear back on that in early February. We've consulted with neighboring municipalities that have received dispersions of funding from this source before. And so we've catered it to the applications that have seen success from both Wendell and Zebulon. And so our hope is that we'll receive that and it will help us continue to bring that to life for our community. And so prayers up for that.
Quick question on that.
Mm-hmm.
So what we got, $18 million budgeted now? Is that right? 18 million, I think,
For the farm,
for the farm.
it's 12.
12 million, okay. We got 12 million budget now for the farm. So this would be on top of that?
This would
So
be
it's
on
not
top
all-
of
we're
that.
not trying
It'll be
to
on
offset
top
you.
of that. It will not supplant.
So it would become a $20 million project.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. And so the goal is our goal has always been to pursue alternative funding sources to bring certain things that are in our future closer. And that will be great. And it also will be a source of great revenue for us because that will help us bring those fields into a place to where we could host tournaments, AAU tournaments, and also be able to focus our attention towards creating that the building that we established there to make our energy towards make that something that we can make a place that people can like thrive out of with having a food truck spot, a basketball gym, the amphitheater, so we can focus on the bells and whistles on that if we can secure this. But we're going through the design ideation phase from all the information we have collected to date and community engagement we've collected to date on the farm project. And we're nailing down the amenities that are going to go into that building. So hopefully the timing will sync up and prayerfully hearing good news on that to where we can run full bore with that early next year.
When is that scheduled to start construction period?
We don't have a break ground date on that construction yet. We had a sit down with ADW last week to go through all the different features that we want in it. And so they are developing the proposed, I don't know the word, but schematic for it, layout for it. And so we'll be bringing it similar to what we did with the town campus. We'll bring a look in the different features that go into it before you all for feedback within the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Within the next 2 months?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, so we have, and this was brought to my attention a couple of weeks ago, I guess. We having someone to release that from us and maintaining, crops on it, keep the land like it is. So we need to let them know ahead of their planning and stuff if we're going to do something. So we don't want them to all of a sudden we show up.
Right. We've been in conversations with them on that one. Yeah.
Good. Because we don't want to Best set up.
The other updates is that just capital projects wise, regarding Granite Falls Boulevard. And so last week they started doing work on Granite Falls Boulevard as far as upgrading the ADA ramps. Just wanted to provide some additional context on that. Our goal is to resurface that street. And there's a requirement that if you resurface a street the full width, then you have to upgrade the ADA ramps on it. The paving and patching for that road will be conducted at night, but the concrete plants are not open at night the same way that the asphalt plants are open at night. And so the curb ramps have to be replaced during the day. There won't be any full street stoppages, but there will be lane shifts, thankfully, into the turn lane in the center. So we're just asking everybody to be mindful and be patient. This project is time bound. And we do have liquidated damages with it. And so this project will be finished. I want to say the delivery day is December the 14th, which is important because the asphalt plants close for the winter on like December the 16th or 17th. And so, yes, so that's a date that everyone knows and that they're aware of, but they will be working at night. And so all those people who navigate Granite Falls Boulevard at night, please be mindful of that. Additionally, we had some meetings last week with ourselves and our town traffic engineer and general engineering firm. And it was with regards to the WakeMed site that's being proposed off new old Granite Falls Boulevard. New old Burlington Mills Boulevard, and also Walbrook Flats being approved recently there. The thing that we met about was coordination around the design of that leg of Granite Falls Boulevard and what that future cross section looks like, and how do we best locate the entrances and the establishment of that segment of Granite Falls Boulevard so that we maximize capacity for traffic, holding lanes, and also take into account the future build out of the Wakeman Hospital site. So that's something that we're working on, and just want to be intentional on and communicating that and say that we are thinking about it and we are taking it into account. And we know that it will be an area that will be, I would think will be key to our future when it comes to building out Granite Falls Boulevard, and also key to decompressing the amount of traffic we have on Main Street. And so I just wanted to communicate about that one. And as with mentioning New Burlington Mills Road, they'll be working to make that connection on hopefully by Friday of next week, in which they will have, if you're coming from the Wake Forest side, you won't be terminating at right here by Town Hall. It will be at the new signal. And so that's something that everyone should be expecting. And that will be coordinating with the completion of a lot of the islands, and they call them pork chops down Main Street, which is the ends of the islands that they'll be filling in with greenery. And so the layout of a lot of the traffic flow down Main Street will be shifting over the next 4 to 6 weeks as these medians start coming about, and you start seeing where you can't make a left turn in somewhere, or you have to go out, or you have to find another access point. We're being intentional, engaging particularly Wall Creek community. Had 3 residents stop by. Since they don't have an HOA, it's kind of harder to communicate with that community. And so we're taking on those questions as they come in. And so we're working on like a release through our communication department to kind of explain the changes in the experience in coming in and coming out of that Wall Creek community, since they have 2 access points, and they also have a new access point that was created by way of the Walbrook development up by Publix. And so that's something that we're working to engage them on. If they have any questions, well, we know they have questions, so because they're calling, we're working to respond to each one of the residents that have inquired about that, to inform them as best we can. And so we'll keep working on that. But in general, to everyone that commutes in and through, it's going to, the traffic patterns are shifting and how you enter and exit your food lines and your coffee shops and stuff, it's going to, your experience is going to be changing, but we think it'll be for the better when it comes to allowing traffic to move more smoothly down Main Street and hopefully get away from our parking lot season that we've been experiencing on Main Street in some mornings and afternoons and evenings.
So there's gonna be a lot of social media push out about all of this.
Yeah, we're working on that campaign. Yeah.
Oh, pretty glad it
That's
was-
all we ask. That's all we ask.
And we went through this evolution before, but it's been so long ago.
Yes.
And most of it was the business owners that was challenging the change. I know the car wash, old car wash, we went through a lot of discussions with them because they weren't happy about losing one of their turns, but they got 3. So it's gonna be difficult, but it's supposed to, by design, make the street more efficient and walkable.
Yeah. And we're asking everybody in general to be patient because we're trying to offer everybody technical explanations. Because when people ask why, it's not enough to say we can't turn left. So coming up with the language to explain that the traffic impact analysis, all these different things, like this is how you decrease the conflicts on left and right turns to allow for safer pedestrian experience. And so that's something that we're working to educate people, in this case, as the homeowners call in one by one, but we're coming up with what that looks like when it comes to the more mass communications as well.
So real quick, the Wall Creek, I've got messages from that too. It's the biggest issue is their current entrance they have and being able to turn left. So all of our plans, all of our plans show that there is still a left turn lane out of that neighborhood. I just want to make sure we confirm that.
Yeah, I can work the update.
All right.
Yeah, it's left coming out of there.
There's a left and a right,
left coming into it.
Right.
And if you have 2 cars turning left, it effectively blocks the southbound Main Street.
It does.
So, and that, does it happen all the time? No, but I've experienced it twice already, so
Okay.
it does happen.
Yep. Okay.
Anything else?
That's it for the formal updates. Informally, I let you all know that I was accepted to the Leadership North Carolina Fellowship, and that's been going great. This week was Government Week, so we spent half the day on Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and today in downtown Raleigh at the General Assembly, meeting and learning about different aspects of the issues that are kind of targeting our region. I gained a lot of insights into the demographic that we have here in our community through conversations and questions through government that I had engaged government consultants, even lobbyists, and people that are just, neck deep in the political economic development landscape. And so I'm finding it to be very, very fruitful and beneficial when it comes to the relationships that we're yielding. And the awesome thing about this fellowship is that it's just offering up people that you can just call and email. Like, let's have coffee and talk about this thing. Let's have coffee and talk about that. And so I'm looking forward to the impact that it'll have on just our ability to kind of grease the wheels on some of the ideas that we have here. I walked away today realizing that we can transition to more work around accessibility, not just ADA from a physical mobility standpoint, but accessibility in general and access to funding for that. And so that's something that you will see in the proposed budget coming up, is how we can commit more money, more funding, to accessibility, since we're very focused on like curb ramps and handrails and stuff. But what does it look like from as someone in our aging community, or someone who English may not be their first language, to make some of the things, our services, more accessible to those communities. And so it's something that I'm very excited about and I'm yielding from. But this week was Government Week, and so it's 1 week. It's one focus a month for the next. We have 7 more months left. And so we'll be in Greensboro for economic development next month in December. And then we'll be back in Durham for another topic. I believe it will be education. And so it's a deep dive into what North Carolina's history is on that. And then also what is the current thing and what are all the things that we need to be thinking about as leaders to overcome those things for our residents. And so it's really, really great. I had a great time, and I'm looking forward to bringing more updates from you and also bringing more ideas. I sent an idea to staff today. I was like, we need to look into this. And so you start seeing the impacts of that immediately from my time being spent over there. But thank you all so much for empowering me to do that. Thank you, Mayor, for signing off on it. It's be a great experience, and looking forward to keeping to serve the community with the stuff I'm picking up there.
Good.
Yeah, then it's something a little more
Congratulations again.
pedantic. Do we know where we are with like the French drains to go up in the intersection so that we can finish the paving?
Yes, and so we had a cast in place. So the vision for the project when in 2017-18 had all these bells and whistles. And one of those bells and whistles was a custom design, cast in place, $164,000 French drain system that takes forever. And so what we've done is engaged DOT to get an approval on I said cast in place, but a pre-poured, bring in the concrete and drain system and put in the ground. But we work with DOT to get an approval for an design to pour the concrete in place. And so that'll shorten it dramatically. The thing that we're running into now and we're engaging the businesses about is that because it's the holiday season, I know I talked with the mayor about it, their preference appears to be that we hold off on doing construction in the immediate area since we put the stone in for Mingle on Main, and the pedestrian experience and the shopping experience increased. So it's like way easier to navigate and there's less confusion. And so it's just easier for people who are moving through the businesses to get around. And so,
just be clear on that. If we can get it done now, they want it done. They want to go ahead and get it done. We just don't need to wait 2 weeks before Christmas,
right,
and start, tear it up again.
Construction going on.
But they don't.
But it's a week and a half. It's a week and a half of work per side. Again, it won't be able to be completed concurrently. And that moves too close into, we'll bump into Black Friday. I do not want to be anywhere close to Black Friday. Like you heard that deep breath from our new commissioner. Like we're not and so we've crossed that bridge on impacting and quote, being in the way during November, December. We will not be doing that. We care too much about our businesses and their experience. And so we just want to be super mindful. And they asked, can we start in January? And so it being cast in place, them being able to pour it and not being weather dependent. Concrete is not like asphalt. Doesn't have to be 50 degrees and rising or whatever. But that'll be our goal for that. Now, what I am going to do is I'm working with them to see what places can we go ahead and start doing. Which is adjusting one of the drop inlets and putting in pavers in some spots. But the goal is if it's not concise and we can't get in and out, then we won't do it. Because the stone being packed in there was great. I mean, everybody went to Mingle on Main, and we have another Mingle on Main coming up, right? We'll have one every month next year too, by the way. And so that's where we are with that. And so the ability to move faster is there, but we don't want to impact people who are trying to patron the businesses down there. And so
we're getting close to Paul's bedtime, so we got
I'm good.
Move on. Real quick, I think the speed bump in the middle of the intersection. DOT, and you fill in the blanks to what I'm saying. DOT says it's not a problem, that it's supposed to be a low speed crossing there, that you're not supposed to go across there fast.
Sure.
So they don't have a problem with it, but we're trying to pursue from a town's perspective
Smooth it out.
to get it a little smoother or to build it up or something. But it's a DOT, both roads are DOT, and they don't have an issue, and they don't care, I guess. But
yes.
is that kind of work?
Yeah, and so I'm working with figuring out if we can. So our goal to pave is to pave it all at once, so that there won't be any joints that lead to future penetration for water during freestyle. It's just, but we're in a situation where we'll try to pave that area sooner than later, and I put in a request to see if we can do that. On the heels of the completion of Burlington Mills, but again, we're running into that date, right, when it comes to asphalt availability. And so my hope is that we can try to get something done for that. And but if we mill it down, then we will likely get complaints about, well, it's rough when you drive across. Well, there's a bump versus roughness. And so the only way to eliminate it is people drive slower and try not to speed under yellow lights. Because we saw that, when we were out there for Mingle, Maine, and people trying to speed under yellow lights or taking a high-speed left turn coming off from the fire department side, and then you feel that bump. And so we're gonna put up signage that says bump ahead. Well, we just ask that people slow down and please be patient. It's still a construction zone, but we're trying to remedy it. And so, but people should know that the crown of that road, that is not the final state, and there's still another lift to asphalt where we're going to do that. We want to do it all at once so that it'll be a nice, smooth asphalt mat for everybody. And so for the final product. And so we're working through an alternative for that. But in general now, please, everybody slow down. Please.
So what do they call it? Low-speed intersection? Was that the name of it?
Yeah, so the travel speed right now is 25 miles per hour. It's a construction zone on a state road in a rural area. The speed limit is 25 miles per hour down Main Street right now. Like, that's a construction zone speed limit, right? Now, the speed limit on Main Street is 35 miles per hour, right? We've been petitioning. We're hoping to petition to keep it retained at 25 miles per hour once the project is over. But we all know that that is not the speed, and Chief can attest, that is not the speed that people travel down Main Street. And that's especially not the speed that people travel down Young Street, crossing over Main Street. And they are learning in real time what happens when you drive through that intersection at too high of a speed. But we're trying to remedy it. We're working with DOT and working with Fred Smith on it, on the timing, and I hopefully can have some information back to you all on that by our next meeting.
All right, well, appreciate it. To wrap up, he mentioned Mingle, Maine. It's one consideration the board needs to make before we adjourn. The Mingle, Maine, for ones that attended last time, which was about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. When was it? About 3 weeks ago? Maybe?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They had a social area identified, and evidently the chamber didn't realize they had to get that in by a deadline. The deadline for the social request permit has expired. But talking to Eric and all, there is no changes, and they already got approvals from everything. It's just a matter of doing more than one date. And I think the board can take that up as a consideration based on what information that we have.
Yeah,
So it's kind of the
approval,
board,
we can
I think,
document it thereafter.
whether we can do that. If we never did the review on it, because it's supposed to be the police sign off on it, you're supposed to sign off on it, but if nothing changed, I'm not sure why, unless you learned something last time. So, I don't know if anybody has any issues with us considering that. Dave, you're nodding your head. So it's up to the board. So I'll just ask the board, what do you consider if you want?
So moved.
Well, what was the extent of the social area? Did it encompass Artisan Beer and Cheese and Pixels, or was it just the circle around Mingle, Maine?
I think it's just on that side.
Yeah.
Now, I think the word I've got is last time on Jen's side, on the cobblestone side, they didn't do anything from a social thing, but that's private property.
Right.
So they can do it if they want to. We don't have to approve them doing it. So if they want to extend it, if they want to extend and bring it over to the other side, they can do that without our approval. So if we don't approve this, they will have it on their side, but they won't have it on the side it was last time.
Okay, so the Main Street would be the demarcation line, so they'd have to keep on the east side for south side, I guess, of Main Street. Okay.
And plus, that's their business, right? So we don't want to muddy their opportunity to make money.
Well, that's what I was trying to expand it so that they could participate.
Yeah.
And question on that, do we have street lights going in on the intersection? Because my understanding on Mingle and Main is once the sun went down, it got pretty dark on the East Young side.
Right.
And yes, we could go ask the fire department to turn their floodlights on, but just from a regular standpoint, do we have those coming in at some point down the road?
Yeah, so updates on the projected completion of the streetlights. The Walbrook section will be started in November, and that is going to be installed by Wake Electric. And then the Main and Young Street will start in November per a discussion we've had with Pike and Duke Energy. Yes, and so the installation of those is there. We've already approved the, I signed off on, I actually initialed it on Monday of this week, the light plans for both Wake Electric and Duke Energy, and paid the necessary invoices for them to mobilize. And so they'll both be mobilizing in November to do that. Leading up to the next Mingle on Main, we'll be relocating some of the light plants. And so there was a light tower that we had. And so we'll look into see if we need to get an additional one, but we'll be relocating it up to the intersection so that it'll be illuminated until those events take place. And so for clarity on the language, and so that'll be a special event permit to sell alcohol on town property. The next date will be November the 21st, and then the December date for Mingle on Main will be December the 12th. And they are looking to have the same event repeat each month, and I believe that will be the third Friday of each month through 2026. And so if you all wanted to proactively say that, then that's something that we could back document and do and handle from a staff perspective with myself, Chief, Parks and Recreation, and others.
Yeah, and it's up to the board. I think the big need is
It's November the 21st and December the 12th.
Will we learn something that we need to do something different in those two events? We might, I'm not sure. But it's kind of up to the board, though. If he's saying longer events. I think the motion you made was just for the two. And was that second?
It was second.
So we got a motion second. I don't think they want to amend it. So.
That's fine.
So got a motion second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Ayes sound like to have it, do have it. Motion approved, so thank you. Tell Michael in the morning he can contact, them. He was going to contact them today and tell them they could not have the social section, but we kind of figured out if you guys are okay with that, we'll make it work. Yeah. The two things tonight, the sidewalk, they did a really good job of that. Let's look at the CIP. We've had it a couple times to do that. And I would think when we do that, let's look at the stormwater down there. The stormwater crosses from that side they talking about to Paul's house. And at times that thing is flooded pretty bad all the way across the road. So we're going to put sidewalk crossings in and stuff. I would say look at the stormwater drain under the highway.
You talking about over at Watkins Farm?
Yeah, over there where Charles live. Y'all know Charles?
Yeah.
His yard gets flooded every once in a while. So it'd be like a sidewalk stormwater drain type of thing. I think would be a good thing to talk about. And then the other one, the chickens.
Oh.
Do I have a volunteer that wants to work on the chickens?
No.
Give that to the new person.
Give it to the new person?
The high heaven.
It's a good learning ground for the new person. They can learn all about the laws of chickens and rabbits.
Christina's getting pounded.
I will say there's multiple people that are looking for that.
Oh, yeah, and she's had three
so
calls
it'll be a perfect way to join and learn.
Then we got a homeowner. So, and my thoughts is, sometimes I try to think out of the box on this. If the homeowner association, and you help me on this, Dave, if we say that we will yield this decision to the homeowner association, if you're in a neighborhood that has a homeowner association first,
that's a great idea,
and you yield it to the homeowner association and they're okay with it, then can we say that? And then anything that's not have a homeowner association, we have to come make a decision to have it or not.
What if someone in a homeowners association that approves it backs up to another association that doesn't, and they're still going to smell it? So you can't win on this one.
And Lord,
well,
if they have roosters.
Well, they're going to have. That's the other thing we need to stipulate is it's got to be strictly chickens. Strictly chickens.
And I think we could speculate it can't be complaints, can't we? Even
can't be what?
complaints.
There are model,
He said it.
what we call urban chicken ordinances, and we're familiar with them. Planning department's familiar with them from other jurisdictions. They're pretty common. This is entirely a policy choice for the board in terms of the town of Rolesville. Rolesville does not have to have chickens. I would suggest, only because I live adjacent to a rooster, you might want to limit it to hens only.
It's
because
already limited to hens only.
I will say that I enjoy my rooster friend, but my wife does not.
I think it says you can't have roosters, don't it? You can't have a rooster at start.
Yeah.
But you can have a chicken on a 2-acre lot.
There's typically a distance, hens only, and I've seen 3 to 6, 3 to 8, something like that.
I think it's a great exercise for the new commissioner to take on and really educate us around the laws around.
I got a meeting with the new commissioner coming in.
Yeah, I would make it a chicken and rabbit meeting.
Yeah.
It should.
A rabid chicken?
A rabbit chicken.
A rabbit chicken sounds great.
Right. Anything else, board? Appreciate it. Thanks for all your hard work. We do have the Mayor Association dinner coming up December the 15th, I think. Holly Springs, I believe.
Oh, back at the.
Or no, is it Fuquay or Holly Springs? I think it's, we had it.
12 Oaks?
Springs was last year.
12 Oaks last year. Yeah.
Yeah, last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. Is it
It
12
may
Oaks?
be at the same location since
Really?
everybody
Down
liked
at
it.
the
I'm
country
not
club or whatever
exactly
it
sure.
was?
I think Fuquay is supposed to do it. But I thought it was going to still be in Holly Springs, but it could be in Fuquay, but it's down on that south end.
With the crazy parking lot?
Yeah. But I'm not sure if it's there. That's in Holly Springs.
That's
I'm not
12
sure.
Oaks. You're talking about 12 Oaks, correct?
Huh?
Did the 12 Oaks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's going to be there or not. We haven't seen anything on it. And and the host won't be a mayor then, so we don't really know. It's kind of an issue. Anything? No? Anything else from the board? So put that on your calendars. Jen, put that on your calendar. I think it's commissioners +1, and then the staff can consider what they want to do. If you want to come. I think Dave came to few. But anyway, if I don't hear opposition, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. So without opposition, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Appreciate it.